It's time for Side Scrollers with me, Stuttering Craig.
You decide when you lose, not other people.
And Blabs.
I like pickles.
And co-hosted by our friends from around the internet. If you like common sense, hit that thumbs up button and, of course, the subscribe button. And join us Monday through Friday live at 11 a.m. Central Time. And now, broadcasting from our homes, it's time for the #1 gaming and entertainment podcast on God's green earth. It's time for Side Scrollers.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome on out to Side Scrollers on YouTube.com and Rumble.com and SideScrollers.locals.com. What is going on, everybody? Hi. I'm Stuttering Craig. Happy Wednesday to you. It's the hump day. Speaking of hump days, let's introduce Blabs. She likes pickles.
You know, I had no idea where you're going with this. I was like, oh god, HR moment, here we go. It's fine. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. Hi.
Hi.
Great to see you, Blabs. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm happy it's Wednesday. It's halfway done with the week. I was like, all right, finish on up. Get going. Friday. And
all right. Nice. Good. Glad you're really working hard throughout the week.
I am.
Like, God, finally, it's almost done.
No, I work hard. I get shit done. Thank you very much.
You do. I'll tell you this. You are spectacular. You're great, and I love it. So, by the way, you do look like you're about to go lumberjacking.
No, not in this shirt. This is like a sheer shirt. I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I thought you had.
It's black. Yeah, but it's see-through. If you don't, you gotta wear clothing and stuff. So, like, yeah, you can't wear.
Well, get out your axes and let's do some tree chopping today, which is good. Oh, is that a flower?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm like, I don't think so, bro. Look at this. It's sheer. See? Okay. You can see my arm.
Whoa, relax, Black.
Scandalous. Would you like to see my wrist?
Oh my goodness, man. The Simps in the chat are going crazy right now, just throwing money out like crazy. Oh, Black.
I have a throne. The end.
You can see my wrist too. What do y'all think of that, huh?
It's really hairy.
Hairy arms. I'm a grown-ass man. Let's go. Oh man. Look, we're gonna have a great show today. We are joined by a couple wonderful folks. Someone first off who does not have grown-ass man arms. I'll say this, it's Savvy. Hello, Savvy.
Did you just assume my arms?
Wow.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, ZZM.
Thank you. Yeah, HR department reporting for duty. Both of you are going to have to answer some questions later. Look at those wrists. Scandalous. Salacious.
Salacious wrist.
Wait, can you do the ew? There you go.
Oh no. You know, we could probably just spend an hour of you girls just saying ooh woo and making weird noises and people would eat it up.
We should do a stream, Savvy. Just one day, like a 10-minute stream. We just go live. We won't tell anybody. And we'll just talk in like freaking weird ass sounds of anime sounds and chirps.
I love that.
And then just end it.
Just do our mating calls and then we're done.
Be like, peace.
Anime mating call stream coming soon with Blabs and Sav, which would be great.
God, that sounds so good too. Blabs and Sav.
It sounds like weekdays with Craig and Brad, but like whatever, it's ours. Weekdays with Blabs and Sav.
We can do weekends with Blabs and Sav and make our own special show.
Or we just yell at each other in anime sounds for 10 minutes, and then that's it. That's all we do. Then dip.
We're workshopping here. We're making things happen, which is great.
I love it.
Sav, obviously, very glad you're here. It's gonna be a big day. We're gonna let you shine in the best way possible today. I'll tell you what.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. But joining us today for the first time, he goes by Aleksey, but I'm just gonna call him Alex. It's Alex. How are you, buddy?
Hello. I mean, like, after all of these introductions, I feel like I need to do something with hands as well.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, well, how good to be here. Yeah. Well.
Here. Pull off your wrist. Scandalous. It's good. Do you have hairy man arms, Alex?
No. I have inked one though. You know.
Oh, like, nice. Tatted up, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Not really hairy though.
Good. Well, you cover them up. You know, I'll say this. There is something weird about a tattooed guy that has their arms tattooed up, but then their arms are covered in hair. You know, like it's just kind of one of those weird things. And I'm glad that that we can see the tats on the arms, which is good. So, well, glad you're here. We are going to spend an enormous amount of time chatting with you today. So I'm very glad you joined us today. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. Get the word out there, guys. Today, we're going to have a great show. You guys tuning in. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up button. We'll get to all that stuff in just a minute because we're going to be doing a deep dive into the state of the industry, covering everything from the development hell, game journalist. We're going to be getting into community managers and everything and all in between because this guy below me really knows his shit and is really going to talk about some of the issues that we talk about on a day-to-day basis, but he's talking about it from an inside baseball perspective. He really knows his stuff. But before we get into that, I would like to remind you guys, we are live over at rumble.com/side-scrollers. Join us over there as we continue to grow every single day, approaching 7,000 followers over there. Why do we love it, Blabs?
What?
It's all organic. She was so tuned out. She's so used to the intro. I threw you a curveball. You couldn't quite hear it.
I was too busy reading, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
What? We love it because it's all organic over on Rumble, which is great as we continue to grow. Blabs, great job. You nailed it.
I was too busy reading.
You tried.
You could have found out that Sav and Alex were going to be on the show today by following us over at x.com/side-scroller-pod. And we also have an Instagram, don't we, Blabs?
Yes, we do. So follow us for memes and clips of the show.
That's great.
Locals.
We'll get to locals in a second. But first, follow us over
All
on
organic.
All organic. Did you say organic or locals?
What?
We're having some mic issues today, Blabs. It's okay. That's okay. Hey, anyways, find us over at Apple Podcast as we continue our drive up the charts over there. We continue to grow a little bit more every single day. If you want to listen to the show instead of watching the show, you can find us over there, Apple Podcast. Make sure you guys give us a nice review. And today, it is a big day as I'll be watching over at sidescrollers.locals.com exclusively over there. If you're looking for an excuse to go over to locals, today is the day. Sidescrollers.locals.com. Link is down in the description because today I'm watching Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers for the first time ever. Last week I watched Fellowship of the Ring. This week I'm watching The Two Towers. I'm watching it with you guys pretty much right after the show. So you can find us over there. Find me over there. If you're a Lord of the Rings freak like everybody else in the world, like Blabs, I'm looking forward to watching this because it's going to be a really, really fun time. My first time watching it. And I'm looking to fill some of the space that my pop culture brain doesn't have. And Lord of the Rings is a very fun thing. So, Sav, have you seen Lord of the Rings, all of them?
Is that a question that you're asking me seriously?
I know. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, are you watching the director's cut or just the normal?
Okay.
The big questions.
So it's an important question, actually.
Yes. I'm watching the theatrical cut. With the intention of watching the director's cut later. So,
I watched it multiple times. So.
Okay. Well, I'm watching it for the first time. So join me over at sidescrollers.locals.com. It is free to become a member over there. If you want to support, you can. If not, that's totally cool. It's going to be available to everybody. So make sure you guys pop in. If you want to watch The Two Towers with me later today, come on, join the fun. But if you're over here on YouTube and it's your first time tuning in, do us a favor, hit the subscribe button. We're closing in on the magic 777. Right now, we're currently sitting at 741 subscribers. So we are closing in on 77,777, which will be very cool. Let's hit that today, right now during the show. So hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate that. Also, let's hit our goal of 800 likes every single episode as we continue to grow. And of course, our goal of 25 memberships every single show. Let's do it. Let's get on to that. But I would like to remind you guys that this is the final week that you can pick up the Side Scrollers All-Stars t-shirts. They're going to be available till the end of the week. That means the end of the end of the month, really. So April 30th. So we are counting down to 6 days left to pick up your Side Scrollers All-Star shirt. Available only this month until we unveil the next shirt, which will feature Blabs on it.
Hi.
There you go. So so go ahead and use the link in the description to go to the store and pick up all your Side Scrollers merch. All right, so there we go. I would like to remind you guys that well, first off, we got hit games. Oh, we got today. We have Today in Gaming History, which is going to be popping off here in just a second. We're going to be talking about a bunch of good gaming stuff today, including the response to Stellar Blade coming out, specifically with IGN. We have a brand new tournament which has been announced, which Blabs can't wait to talk about. The Milk Cup. And I have
milkshakes bring the little boys to the yard. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
I have an offer for everybody when we get to the Milk Cup here in just a little bit. We're going to be talking about, or at least we're going to team Savvy up so hard and talk about Pokemon Go, and then we're going to dig in to Alex here and all the fun stuff he has going on. Nissan came in with a question early on, which we're going to get to that in a little bit. So if you guys have questions for Alex and his insight inside the gaming space, fire away. We'll do our best to get to those throughout the show. Actually, as a matter of fact, we'll get to every single one of them. Josh says, heard about the Stellar Blade Hard R controversy? Oh, yeah.
Controversy.
Controversy. We're going to get to that very shortly. And Edwin came in and says, un amigo me recomendó su canal. Yes, your friend recommended our channel. Gracias, senor.
I'm surprised you could read that.
I'm a excellent Spanglish reader. I'm on fire when it comes. I have 7 years of Spanish, Blabs. I bet you didn't know that.
Oh.
7 years.
Of
I know
what?
all the
What
L's
level?
in the
Like
law.
level 1? Repeat it over and over again because you failed?
Pretty much. Thanks, Blabs. You're a wonderful star. Blake came in with the 2 over on Rumble. Says 7 is the most magical number, so let's freaking go. What's it with a question mark? Yes, Blake, it is a magical number. All right. Appreciate you guys popping in. Let's get on it. Blabs, tell us about what happened today in gaming history.
Right. So as it's April 24th, back in 1998, aka 26 years ago, Mega Man and Bass was released, as well as Metal Gear.
Stop.
What? Bass, Bass, Boss,
Mega Man and
Bass.
Bass.
Bass. I always say it weird. I don't know why. Anyway, Metal Gear Solid. What?
Blabs.
What?
You need to know this. This is very important. The Mega Man franchise is known as Rockman over in.
Yes, I did know that. I found that out yesterday.
But you need to understand why it's called that, right? His girlfriend is Roll. Music is a theme throughout the entire Mega Man franchise, right? So it's not Mega Man and Bass. It's Mega Man and
Bass.
Hey, just like we're based here on the channel.
Metal Gear Solid is 24 years old. And funny enough, Battletech, which we were talking about yesterday, is 6 years old, releasing back in 2018 for that one game. The end.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, Roll. Yes, Roll's his sister. Okay, girlfriend, whatever. Sister. There's Treble. There's all sorts of
I feel like that's an important distinction. You said girlfriend, sister, whatever.
Where's your mind going, Craig?
My mind is going that he's a robot. And then he kills
things.
Well, he identifies himself like one, so.
That's right. Good point. Excellent point. Yeah. All wonderful. Mercenary says, Alek, does it seem like infiltration from within to you? Infiltration within the industry. Okay, we're going to get to that in a little bit. Thank you, Mercenary. And DB says, Craig is a fake geek / gamer, never seen Lord of the Rings. Been well established.
I am fake gamer.
I just find it weird. I mean, like, it's not even like fake. I'm like, how are you able to avoid it? Like for all of these years. I mean, like, what's the secret?
Secret was keeping what happened was this was 2003 when it was first released. And this is a larger part of the conversation. Okay, once a first thing of a franchise is released, and I missed that first thing, I really have no interest in going back and watching that first thing once the second and third things are released, right? So if I didn't miss it, if I didn't hit it when it's first open, I'm probably not going to go back and see it, right? And that's what happened with Lord of the Rings. That's what happened with like Harry Potter. A lot of these franchises that like I missed the first one. I'm like, oh, well, okay. I don't have to go back and do homework to see the second movie. So I kind of just bow out. And that's kind of what happened with Lord of the Rings, I think. So, it happens.
It was a bad life decision.
I made a lot of bad life decisions along the way. But, yes. Hayden came in, says Metal Gear Solid mentioned best game series ever.
Yeah,
Thank you. Appreciate that. It's good stuff. And Xander says mission trip to Mexico. I guess there's an emote that I don't know. It says for a skit. I said CSL. All right, Xander. Thank you very much. Appreciate the support. Excellent. All right, let's get into it. We got a lot to talk about, so we're going to dive into the deep end today. It's time for my favorite segment, your favorite segment, everybody in the world's favorite segment. It's time for Hard News. Hard News. All right, who wants to be terrified? Because Blabs always likes to start things off with a terrifying non-gaming related thing. But I guess this could be gaming related. If you like robot dogs. Have you seen the new trend with robot dogs, Abby?
Yeah.
Yes.
You did see this yesterday?
Yes. I want one.
Yo, you saw the robot dog, the robot dog with the flamethrower on its head? I'm just saying.
This is the future I want.
I like that. I like they
Yeah,
go for like, this is a maintenance like forest dog, like it's not for military purposes. It's like not to hurt people. And everyone like, of course it is.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're definitely not going to use this in a war like experience to flush somebody out. Absolutely not. So that's absolutely terrifying. I'm just going to throw it out there. I have no interest in seeing that in my future at all.
It's not very expensive as well. It's just about 8,000 pounds. It's not crazy. Like you can really afford it. Yeah.
Pounds?
It's like $11,000.
It's about 10 grand probably.
Yeah, 11ish. Yeah.
I feel like
it's the money of a purebred.
Probably crowdfund that. Do you think we could?
No, we're not getting one, Craig.
Just saying, it'd be really fun.
Only for self-defense against the other one.
Think about that content you can get.
Burn each other alive.
Come on. As pointed out, one of the best comments here says, my Second Amendment right guarantees me access to this. It's like, absolutely. We need more robot dogs with flamethrowers on their heads, which is great. All right. Well, there you go. That's a little bit of nightmare fuel to start your day, in addition to actual fuel busting out of a dog's head, creating flames. Ugh. There's been a lot of talk recently about what's old is new again, and how a lot of people have been rejecting newer movies, newer media, newer games in favor of classic games from your childhood, retro games, etc. In this point, retro movies. Did you hear that Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire was re-released the other day? Did you guys hear this? No.
I didn't.
Stabby, did you hear this?
Yeah, they wasn't it just selective, or was it all over?
It was selective, but it was when it was released, it was domestically in the United States. So Alex, you definitely would not have seen this, but it was the number 2 movie in America when it was re-released, making almost $1 million, which I think really says a lot about things. Sav, are you a fan of Spider-Man 2? Tobey Maguire.
So, I mean, specifically Spider-Man 2, I'm trying to remember because I only watched them, I think, once or twice.
That one's with Doc Ock, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think you're right. Doc Ock is that one, yes.
I liked all of them, but I think I'm trying to think which one was my favorite. Like, why did they release 2? Because they didn't re-release 1. Did they? Like a month ago? Or no? Like they just arbitrarily chose 2. And that was my only question.
When was it first released? Wasn't it released like in 20 years ago or something like that at this point, 2004? So maybe it was a 20th anniversary thing.
Maybe do a little bit of digging on that. I don't know. I bet there is.
Yeah, it's just weird that they chose to jump into 2 instead of doing, hey, this week we're going to do the first movie, then next week we'll do the second.
Right. It came out in 2004. Yeah. So it's 20 years of it.
Okay, so they're doing the 20-year anniversary thing, which is kind of like what we saw with Lord of the Rings, which is why I can't rent a theater, because there's a moratorium from the studio saying you can't show Lord of the Rings in a theater for the next year because it's their anniversary. So That makes sense. Yeah,
Was it
bummer.
Spider-Man that made all of the superhero movies like popular again? Like, right?
What?
Yeah, like,
I think so. I think Spider-Man was the one that kind of kicked it off. Spider-Man first, and then Iron Man came
yeah,
in with
Yeah.
for sure. But,
Chat said that some of them are being released too, like one per week. Chat says so.
Oh, okay. So
Depending on where you are, I'm assuming they might be releasing.
Okay, well, I think that's cool. I actually really like that idea because it gives
Bring people to the
theaters
movies.
more choices and it gets people back to theaters, and then it introduces movies to a generation that maybe didn't see it. So I think it's good.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's also sure there's a novelty to it, right? But the fact that it made like $1 million in a day on a limited release is pretty awesome. I love it. It's great. Good for them, I guess. Good for those multi-million-dollar studios. Way to go. All right. Hey, you want to? We talk a lot about games and how games have been like games are a little different these days. You have these long drawn out stories. Even Sony's like they patented this whole autoplay feature. Well, let me show you a game that they will not be able to autoplay. Quite possibly a game that Blabs may be the most excited for. I'm talking about Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble coming soon for your Nintendo Switch. Blabs, feast your eyes on this.
Twitter.
3, 2, 1.
We have a 16-player Monkey Ball Battle Royale game. This is video games, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm actually excited for this. This looks fun.
Cute.
It's great.
So I still have it for my Nintendo DS, the game. I think I tried playing it like a year ago, and I was like, damn, I suck at this game now. But yeah, I would totally try playing this.
Dude, like
that's cute.
Oh yeah, Monkey Ball is at its core like that. To me, that's video games right there, man. And there's no way they can throw any modern dayness into it. You're freaking monkeys. What do you want? Like,
don't.
I mean,
they will say, "Hold my beer."
Yeah, like
you do it. What you do it.
Why you gotta remind me?
Recent one about this phrase. Leonardo DiCaprio goes for like roast me, and someone goes with a joke. Leonardo DiCaprio talks to his girlfriend like hold my beer, and she's like, I can't, I'll get arrested.
But love it. We do need. Wait, where's my rim shot? Hold on. There it is. There we go. Love it.
That is so pathetic. It was like thunk.
It was very sad and quiet.
Yay!
I got all the stuff. All right. So we go from a game that's coming out to a game that is starting to see reviews on the way out. A game highly anticipated. We talked about this last night on Tuesday night's main event over on the Geeks and Gamers channel. S.t.a.l.k.e.r Blade. This could, I don't know, possibly be the highest selling game this year just based off the principle of it. I feel like there's a lot of hype around S.t.a.l.k.e.r Blade, both from a cultural aspect of it and just the idea that it looks like it's a pretty fun game, But S.t.a.l.k.e.r Blade review day has happened, and the reviews are starting to come out. And here we are, the first controversy, I guess the second, third, and fourth controversy for S.t.a.l.k.e.r Blade outside of hot women and scantily clothed. Now we have a racist language here. Okay. Sony says S.t.a.l.k.e.r Blade art was referencing racist language, was unintentional, will be patched out. Art will be removed in S.t.a.l.k.e.r Blade's day one patch. So this graffiti says hard, and right next to it, they have an R.
R shop.
So hard R, which is spectacular. Now, Savvy, you said this has already been patched out?
Yeah, so they have a quick patch thing through Sony, so it's already updated unless you turned off your auto updates, but that's on by default. And basically, the skinny of this is they just threw the graffiti around the map, and it just happened to land in this position next to the R shop, which references a shop that's named after a character that's in the game at various points. It's a funny accident, and only in America
Well,
are they going to have this problem.
Sav, here's the issue, is that they may have just thrown it around randomly, and it may have been done through AI or whatever, right? But the problem is that racism is so prevalent that even in Stellar Blade, you can't avoid the hard R.
God,
I'm just saying.
terrible world we live in.
I know, it's crazy. Wait, real quick. The hard R. Blabs, what word is the hard R?
Isn't it just retard?
See, I thought that's what it was too. Am I wrong? I don't know. Is that a isn't that the word?
Unless they mean like the hard, like the N word, and it's the hard R version of that. Is that what that is?
I don't know. I guess no. Alex, any thoughts on that?
I'll look it up. I mean, like, because I'm like,
it's the NIR. So that's what I was saying. Okay, so my second guess is what it is.
All right.
It's the Flog's N-word pass. Beep R.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, now we know.
Wow. It's like a racist riddle. You know, like you need to decode it, right? You know, like to. So we have
racist riddle.
So you need to make an intellectual effort to actually get down to this. You know, like, which really talks about the people making this comment more than people who actually made this mistake. You know, like, and wow.
Well, it's it's yes, and I think it's one of those things where if you look at it, you got to at least like laugh when you see that, right? And are you really going in and are you really overanalyzing the idea that those two things went right next to each other? I mean, it's really funny, but are you actively looking for that stuff? And who at IGN saw that and was like,
yeah. Sometimes banana is just a banana. I mean, like, I don't understand what they imagine, you know, like in the situation, like there's like in some basement in like this Korean building, you know, like of the developer, just a bunch of those people like encoding, you know, like racist messages or the subliminal influence on the Western civilization. You know, is this is how they paint it, you know, like in some sense? Because I can tell you this is not how it works, you know, like it's just.
Wait, you're telling me there's not a bunch of Koreans hanging out looking to put racist language into video games?
I don't know, not southern one. That's definitely northern maybe, you know, like, but not the southern part.
Oh my God. Well, thank you, IGN, for pointing this out and saving society. I would like
again.
Yes, again. Here's the article they have at least over on X, and then they. A reference to Hulk Hogan putting the NWO logo. Wow. It's so funny. It's so freaking funny. Oh my God. But thank you, Kat Bailey from IGN for exposing. No, don't do that, Blabs. We're not going to attack people on their looks. We're not going to do that. We're not. Why not?
They attack us on how we look, and they just assume that everybody's racist just for that. Don't be like that. No.
Would you like to know why, Blabs?
Why?
Because we're better. Because we're better.
So what? Just you can't say someone looks like a horse now. We gotta censor ourselves on the internet. I don't fucking.
You gotta just make. You gotta make the horse noise, and then no one will know what you're doing. They'll just assume you're making noises.
It's very corporate.
Well, listen, Blabs. If you want to say somebody looks like a horse, I'll never stop you.
That's right.
I'll never stop you.
Nope.
Thank God. Thank God for you, Blabs. All right. Hey, we got some good stories to hit. But first, I want to let you know Kara Lynn became a brand new member. Kara, great to see you. Yeah. Someone who definitely does not look like a horse. Kara, great to see you. A beautiful young lady who I love to see at events. She's awesome. Paladin Potato came in with 10 gifted memberships. Alex, you first time on the show, you get to pick the color that goes on the wall today, my man. You want red, green, yellow, orange?
Green.
Oh, we're going with green. All right. Didn't even get through the colors. Paladin Potato, thank you so much for those 10 gifted memberships. Hey, if you guys got gifted membership, do me a favor and say thank you and consider paying it forward. We use our manners here on the channel. And it's really important that you do. Paladin Potato, do me a favor And look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's spectacular. And while I put Power Potato on the wall, Blabs, read it off. Let's go.
Well, first of all, let me just get locals because Just G makes it easy. Send a $2 tip saying, Madam Savvy with the sick Twitter burn on the woke gaming quotations journalist. Cheers. Hi, side scrollers. Thank you very much. Then we have Dimio, member for 3 months. Japanese Spider-Man is still the best. Yeah. Nissan says, question for manager.
We'll get that in a minute.
Gonna get that one. Okay, next one. Alex up and get that one too. All right, here we go. Lord of the Re. Oh, the Re. Sav, can we get an uwu for the chat?
Doshite senpai-kun, doshite. I gave you a better one. I'm not giving you any more uwus.
Elite Neo says he protect, he attack, but he also have the flamethrower on back.
Let's go, Elite
Best
Neo.
dog.
It's a good boy.
Aaron just says Sam Raimi's Spider-Man is the best. I will defend the third movie forever, especially the collector's edition with the additional and rearranged scenes. You know what's fun? I don't know why, but they always have like these director's cuts, and they're always 10 times better than their theatrical ones. It's like, why don't you just release those in the first place? Anyway. Blabs a tower card. Oh my.
Don't read it.
Wow.
Thank
Don't
you.
read it. Hey, Blabs the tower card. Chill out.
Damn. Alan, I was revisiting X-Men 2 film and still love the Nightcrawler scene in the White House. He was one of my favorite X-Men, especially since I wish I could bamf from my ex-girlfriend. Thanks, Alan. Varn base, keep it in, let them seethe.
Lol.
Mike has bad knees, member for 7 months. My favorite river in Africa is the River, hard R. Yeah.
Chat just doing that. Yeah.
Can't get me, chat. Darian, watch the Linus Tech Tips hard R clips. Hilarious. Didn't we just talk about that once? I feel like we did. Craig, you're muted, just so you know. Anyway, Ultra V, are they actively looking for that? Yes, the brain rot is so prevalent in some perpetually online people that they actively look for things to be offended about, and it's incredibly tiresome. Thank you. Dokmar, Savvy, what kind of drawing tablet do you use?
I have 2 of them. A lot of my work is done on my iPad Pro. I usually keep up with the latest models, but there wasn't enough of an upgrade between the newest release and the last one. And then I also have the big 24-inch Wacom Cintiq. So it is an older model. I think it's about 8 years old now, roughly. So it's not the newest one with the touchscreen, but it still works.
There you go. Surfer so proud. Sup, Craig? Nice to meet you, Alex. Savvy and Blabs, me, Dad.
Hold on. Suffer so proud, not surfer so proud.
I said surfer, didn't I? Suffer? Oh, suffer it says. Surfer so proud. I thought he was really happy being a surfer guy. Hang loose, man. Anyway, he says something, he likes us a lot and the podcast. Thank you.
Good job. Surfer so proud.
Epsilon Sama, what's up, my N-words that ends with an A?
All right, thanks. Appreciate that.
Very inventive.
Shiro for the robot dog fund. $5, thank you. Damablas, you know IGN gave a 7 because of Sony money.
They did it 7?
They gave it a 7.
Blade? Oh, come on.
One time at Bandcamp, Mega Man isn't that great.
Depends on the game. Depends on the game for sure.
I don't know. Did you guys play Bucky O'Hare?
Yes.
Which is effectively the Rockman, because I'm not. That was so good. I mean, I really liked it. I mean, more than the Mega Man, actually. Bucky O'Hare, was amazing.
Bucky O'Hare on the NES?
Yeah, on the NES.
Yeah, it was a great game for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Herbert came in and says, whenever I'm carrying wood, I have an urge to throw it down and start and shout, I ask only for strength to defend my people. Okay, sounds good. Wheel Through Life with Brian came in and says, Blabs and Craig, when you have a chance, check your Twitter. I retweeted you both on why Sony's autoplay needs to exist to help out some in the disability community. Okay, we'll check it out. Thanks, Brian. Always like to hear your perspective.
Interesting take.
Yeah. Bronsonite says Spider-Man 3 was an abortion of a film, abomination of an atrocity. They so screwed up Venom. And Spider-Man 3 was an emo bitch, terrible, unforgivable. Damn you, Sam Raimi. Bronsonite.
By the beginning of the phrase, I thought it's about the Rebel Moon, but actually about the Spider-Man.
Yeshosh came in and says, Craig, they can't current year monkeys. People current year cookies, dude. They have no limits. Thanks. Appreciate that. Yes, they do. Siver says, Anita Sarkeesian taught us, Craig, everything is racist, everything is sexist, everything is homophobic, and you had to point it all out. This is true. She educated you. Congratulations on your education.
Do you ever go on Google and play the is blank racist game where you look for an article? Okay, it's my favorite game to do when I'm super bored. Basically, you take your favorite hobby or a thing that you love, and then you go to Google and say, is it racist? Article. And then it'll pop up.
Magically, right? Yeah.
Everything's racist.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Coffee, hiking, video games, air quality, plants. Plants are exceptionally racist if you didn't know.
Oh, yeah?
Whoa.
Good to know. Hey, Saf, thanks for educating us and letting us know. That's wonderful.
It's so much education in the world these days. I mean, like, it's amazing, isn't it? We made so much far as a society. You can get educated daily, every 15 minutes, and get smarter every goddamn time. It's just beautiful.
I appreciate the education that I receive every day on this show.
Yes. And
knowing that everything is racist, everything is sexist, and everything is homophobic. Congratulations. It's great. At some point we will forget what the N-word even means, but the legends of the mystical word of power will remain. How it made people go into a foaming rage. That's right. It's just the N-word, whatever. Shane says, at least the horse-looking woman is not identifying as a horse. It's not like we have heard a person identifying as a deer or anything. That's right, Shane.
Yeah, right.
I don't believe it was an offense. I think it was an observation. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Blabs.
Yeah, it was an observation that she resembles a horse that I used to know.
All right. Wow.
I know lots of horses. I actually do.
Abdulio says Craig is not completely wrong. Rock and roll are siblings in the original classic game, but in many spin-offs, whether it's either an alternate universe or different characters with the same names as rock and roll, they are often not related and romantic. That's right. I knew it. So yes, rock and roll are both sisters, brothers and sisters, or lovers in other universes, which is very weird. So thanks, Abdulio. Appreciate that.
Wow.
Yeah, don't make it weird. Julio is asking Alex if you were around for the early games of Epic with games like Jazz the Jackrabbit. Really meant old classics.
No, I joined. I've joined at the time of the Gears of War, like the third one. Big reason for me to join Epic, which is great company moments, and I was a huge fanboy for the Gears of War, especially the second part. And I played it like many times. Though I appreciate the question. It's a very good one. I played Just Rabbit, for Unreal Tournament, original one. It's very good as well.
Awesome. Well, Gears had tournaments back in the day, but now we have a new tournament that is popping off, and it is sponsored. This is so insane. I can't even believe I'm saying this right now. We have a new esports tournament sponsored by America's Milk Companies. It's just called GonnaNeedMilk.com. And the series is called The Milk Cup. And to make it even more awkward, it's exclusively for women.
They wonder why they wonder why nobody takes them seriously. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
You did a little digging on this.
I did, and I will actually share my tweet because it's just probably the easiest way to grab all the information. So, I went through the rabbit hole with this one. I wanted to know what this was about. So here are the rules. In 3.1.4, the milk cup is open to women identifying U.S. citizens ages 13 and up. I'm pretty sure a 13-year-old girl is not a woman. I'm just saying, like, why are you trying to put these young children in with identifying women, which is just bananas? But it goes on. Sign up for the milk cup, calling all women identifying Fortnite gamers. Again. Women identifying.
There we go. There we go.
Right? Mm-hmm. And then, but it says designed for women in gaming by women in gaming. Like the gaslighting here is really like, we women made this for women and literally everyone else because everyone can identify as a woman. And even so much so that I went to the registration area and you have to put your gender in there. It is required. So you could literally just say, you're a woman. That's it. You're good to go, bro.
So I have a proposal for anybody who's watching. And by the way, I'm 100% serious with this. The prize pool for this event is $250,000. There's 25. Yeah, this is they're throwing some serious money at this thing, right? If you, and I'm 100% serious, if you're a dude who wants to be a woman for this tournament, I will sponsor you. I will sponsor this event for you because this shit has to be done. If you want to identify as a woman today, if you just feel the need to be a woman and you want to compete in the milk cup, reach out to me. I will seriously look at it. You got to play Fortnite. You got to be good. You got to be able to compete because we're not going to show up and lose. We're going to play and we're going to compete because I want to just shove this shit down people's throat. This is so fucking stupid. The idea that you can identify.
I don't know, man, stupid or not. I mean, I identify as a woman, but 250 is 250. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. 20 is 20. Like once a lot of desperate people online.
I'm about to throw my husband into a dress.
Give him his stilettos.
That's just expensive. I mean, it's like why would
don't
you
make them in
we're
his
doing
size.
this for money, right?
I'm just saying, like someone you said it, Alex. $250,000 is a shit ton of money. $25,000 is a lot of money. Surely somebody's gonna be like,
I'd do it for $1,000. Dude,
I'm just saying. Let's make it happen. If you're a Fortnite player, reach out to me. I'm dead serious about this. I will sponsor you because I want to expose this stupidity. This is so dumb and so insane. I want to sponsor somebody to compete in the Milk Cup. So yes,
can your like team name be like Mommy Milkers or something? It'd be really funny.
Yes.
Wow.
The side scrollers, Mommy Milkers.
I wouldn't say that was unexpected. That was like, would someone call it or not?
But I just think it's really disgusting that you can identify as a 13-year-old woman and be like some 40-year-old dude. Like this is
really
predatory.
Weird.
This is predatory.
That's
weird
really
shit.
Weird.
I just think it's weird. It's weird to have like women separate events in general. I mean, like because
I don't think it's needed at all.
If you really think about it, like there is a lot of like good proper feminists, like what about equality? It's about taking all of the power. We're actually spending shit lot of efforts trying to explain people, like that separation to the female sports and male sports, like is something that can be reviewed, and it should be equally attended and whatever. And then there's just a bunch of people just showing up being kind of like, oh no, that's just for girls. Like what? Like why? Why would you separate, gender into a digital game competition? In general. I mean, I just didn't get it, but maybe,
I think the best person, regardless of whatever they are, if they're freaking deerkin or a horse or whatever, should be allowed to play in the tournament, regardless of whatever they are. It should just be based on skill. Are you good at Fortnite? Yes. You're in the team. Good for you. And that's there shouldn't be all these stupid tournaments for women only, because then they just change it to women identifying, and then it'll be like women identifying these or they thems and whatever, and it just keeps going and going and going, and eventually no one can you be able to play these tournaments because it's going to be so selective? Or they'll just make it again to everybody's allowed it, and at which point you should just be like, everybody can play. Which way is it going to go? I don't know, but it's stupid. The end.
I think I have an idea of who I'd like to sponsor.
Oh no!
I think I'd like to sponsor the most feminine man I know. The
He is
most
quite
feminine, high tea woman that I know, Beardo. I think I want Beardo to be my woman to compete in the Milk Cup.
That is peak female performance if I've ever seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I got some big lady envy right there.
The beard really does it.
He's good at Fortnite. I think that it'd be good. I'm sorry. Yes.
Bearda.
Bearda. I think it'd be great. I think yes. We're going the feminine version of Beardo. It's now the Bearda. That's right.
Bearda.
Yeah, we need to get Bearda, and it'd be Fear the Bearda.
Put a little bow in the beard, a little pink bow.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's awesome.
Beardette, they're saying shit. Beard Arena.
It's wonderful. Wonderful. All right. Let's move on. Let's start to get into some nitty gritty here. But before we do, I want to read off Ian Soforth, who came in and says, a man posing as a woman to enter the Milk Cup. How dare he?
Oh, I see what you did here. That's good.
Where's it at? There it is, right
It's
there.
so sad. It's
Matter.
It's a ting.
Oh, I thought it doesn't sound good.
So shy.
No, it doesn't.
Oh.
Chris. We can't hear that. We hear ting.
Yeah,
It just cut out there.
Pathetic.
Oh, well, that sucks. Well, okay, I'll need to figure out why it's not doing good. St. G says Sony's autoplay is great for quote unquote journalists. Oh, we're going to get into journalist here in just a little bit as well. Thanks, St. G. Your B Army says Catherine the Great knew lots of horses too. All right, let's make it weird. Bimbo says cue the everything is racist theme. Like the Lego movie.
Everything is awesome.
Also, simply Rumble's crash.
That's actually a good one.
We should. That'd be a great parody. Sav, I know that you made a wonderful song about Pokemon Go using AI. I imagine. You should absolutely do that. Everything is racist in the same tone and everything. That'd be so funny. That'd be a great.
I could try.
Blabs, please read off that name.
Wildo T. Baggins. To actively look for offensive stuff, to quote American history, X. Life is too short to be pissed off all the time.
Segment of culture over here, cool reference. American history. Malcolm.
I think that's one of the funny things about this is people watch our show and they're like, you guys must be so upset all the time. It's like, no, do you don't understand? All we do is laugh. That's all we do on the show is laugh at the stupidity. And it's so entertaining for us. It's great. Headcase Laboratory says, hope you save Screw Attack, Craig. Yeah, me too. The time is ticking for that to happen, by the way. We have about a week left for that to happen. If I was to put a percentage on it, I'd probably say 3% chance. Very low percent chance that it's actually going to happen. So, Blabs the Tower Tard. Go read it off, Blabs.
Blabs the Tower Tard for $5. The Milk Cup hosted by Sydney Sweeney and the AT&T chick. I like pickles and violence and tentacles. Yay!
Man, can we just talk about the AT&T chick for a second? I'm just saying.
Mommy milkers.
Don't make it awkward, Blabs. Oh man, she's wonderful. Hey, speaking of, Master Bader came in and says, "Get G&G, get Jeremy to do the tournament." Well, I think we're gonna go with Bearda.
Mommy is a cool meme though. I mean, I cannot stop laughing every time watching Asmongold streams. Where he plays video games and stuff. Every time female character shows up, all of the chat goes for 25 mommy. This is so entertaining. Actually, it's just actually.
I love his
funny.
chat.
Yeah, chat. His chat is awesome.
Common People says Craig sponsoring someone for the Milky's Cup is like the film The Ringer to Johnny and Axel. That's right.
I love Knoxville. I had the biggest crush on him for years when I first started watching Jackass.
Well, you don't need to. You've seen his balls and his dick and everything else on movies, so there's nothing to be surprised about with him.
Yeah,
No, exactly.
You can go as far as making like a mockumentary, like in the genre of the sport drama, like when you just prepare the birdie for the Milk Cup, like with all the training
montage,
like kicking the chicken, and all this stuff, like
the chicken,
like running, jogging, like just doing like serious motivation exercises.
I like the idea of showing somebody just kicking chickens as their training exercise.
Duck tricking.
just punting chickens like Link from Zelda over there. Steiner Math came in and says, will this Milk Cup be hosted by Sydney Sweeney? Will there be motorboating competitions on site? I have questions that need answering. Steiner Math, just relax, buddy. All right. I don't know the answers. Noodle says both Bucky O'Hare on the NES and in the arcade are super fun.
Yeah.
Accurate.
Soundtracks was amazing as well. Music was super cool.
Palette of Potato says, why are y'all knocking the Milk Cup? The competition could be Gouda. I'll pull myself out.
Oh, just that little drum.
Mercenary says, oh, hold on. Kay came in and says, apparently Hard R already patched, says Crime R now. What? Crime R? What is that?
Crimer.
Instead of the word hard, I got the joke. It's funny, all right? If I have to explain it anymore, I'm going to feel like an idiot.
Don't worry, Kay. We got you. It's fine.
Sav, I'm an idiot.
I laugh.
Yeah. Both said the
Thanks,
same
Kay.
boat. Didn't got it as well.
Worthy One says, how can they not see that cup? See, this cup is not going to end well. That's Worthy One. There's a lot of dumb things that happen in corporate America. And Lord J says, choking the chicken? Oh, the camera was on the whole time. That's right, Lord J. Thanks. And Shane came in and says, just ask Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers to do the tournament. He's already got sugar in the tank for being a Bama fan. And Alman John says, if the person you sponsored does win, you should send the organizers of the tournament a video of you singing the milkshake song. No. And Clouds Unrequited Love says, gosh, Blabs, you look pretty today. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that out loud. Now I know why my mom didn't want me to eat this Chick-fil-A sandwich. All right. Thanks, Cloud. Very odd. All right. Okay, let's start digging into some stuff. We've had fun talking about milk cups and all. Oh, shit. We can't yet.
Whoa!
Because Alek Baldwin's finger came in with 50 gifted memberships. Freaking A, man. Look at the chat. So green. Look at that. Alek Baldwin's finger. Good Lord. If you guys are being gifted a membership right now, make sure you say thank you and consider paying it forward. That finger, that is itchy to gift out some memberships today. That is spectacular and massive. Holy crap. Look at that. Look at that right there.
Mm-hmm.
My God.
Thank you, Alek Baldwin.
Thank you.
Wow.
That's wild.
Spectacular. I love the meme, by the way.
Listen, I have a question, Craig. Could you please get rid of Beardo on the bottom of the screen? He's just been staring at me for the last 2 minutes. It's been really uneasy.
No.
Just get rid of it. It's like he's just watching.
Nope. Absolutely not. Will not do it. As a matter of fact, Blabs, I got something worse for you.
Blame Philly. I mean, he says that.
God, just get, like it's so bad. I see it twice. Come on, man.
There you go, Blabs. Beard. There's the most high tea woman that I know.
He's like so disappointed.
Look of contempt.
It's gonna be great. Beardo.
Oh God, he really gotta move it though, Craig. Look at the bottom of StreamYards.
Nobody else can see it, Blabs. Nobody else can see it.
But I can. It's like he's staring.
He's judging you. He's reminding you that he's
really
always
is.
watching.
Really judging.
All right. Let's get into some video game journalism here, huh? This was an interesting story that's being passed around today and yesterday. As the beacon of video game journalism, The Gamer, has posted an article talking about how Stellar Blade is being released uncensored across the world, which is awesome. But but The Gamer has said Stellar Blade's uncensored release shouldn't be a cause for celebration. The Shift Up has confirmed that every single version of Stellar Blade will be uncensored. But what does that even mean? Now, the reason that we bring this up is because, well, look who's here. It's Sav. So, Sav, your thoughts on the unrestricted nature of Stellar Blade and why this is not a bad thing.
So censorship in any form should not be supported by anybody, because once you start supporting censorship, it's going to get thrown back at you. And when you cultivate that kind of an audience, it just makes the world a lot more angry. Creative censorship is one of the, no creative censorship. I'm sorry if you can hear my cat. No creative censorship is what we should all be striving for, because it allows everybody to express themselves equally. It allows everyone to tell their stories. It allows storytellers to stand by their products globally. And it also allows the open market to decide what is successful and what isn't. It's baffling how somebody could even conceive of such a title.
Media.
For media, because
from all of the places, from media.
Why would you want that? Because again, people are then going to cheer when something you like or you are censored, and that's not good for anybody. In the year of our flat earth of 2024, we should all be able to create freely and stand by the products that we want to.
Like that article triggered me so much. Because seriously, because it really reminded me of my early childhood, and I've been born into the Soviet Ukraine from all of these places. This is like literally this, it's let's be in a media who call out for the society that censor stuff and who introduce the creative control for everything that people do. And people just don't understand that creative censorship is the first step to the dictatorship in general. Where there would be people who decide whether this is right or wrong, and who would monopolize the truth, and you literally get into a scenario where when there is a censorship, if you go against the censorship, it means that something gonna happen to you where you break this rule, right? Because there are consequences and ramifications to it, and repercussions, right? And again, media people cheering for censorship is the same as, bees going against the honey. In some, it's just a paradox. It's an oxymoron. I just don't understand how those basic things, cannot get into the people mind, because it just, horrible. It's.
I'm glad that you brought up the whole, it's the first step to dictatorship, because somebody pointed out the individual's Twitter who wrote that. And so I wrote them like a personal message. And I said, I hope that nothing you love ever gets censored. But the people who cheer on censorship are never on the right side of history. And like you said, we've seen that. Creativity is the first thing attacked and controlled.
I wrote it one of the threads, communists infiltrated Hollywood again. People got so angry, they just couldn't stop not doing that.
So, Sav, you posted this and just pretty much saying what you said just now, and the response was not good. Did they block you? This person blocked you?
So within a few minutes of me tagging them, because at the time I was the only person actively tagging them, people were just making comments on the screenshot. But when I tagged them, I noticed that they untagged themselves, and then they went private, and then a few minutes later blocked me. So I quote tweeted that, and then I basically captured almost the exact moment of when they went private based off of the original timestamp of my quote tweet. When I said you can privatize yourself. But yeah, a form of, self-censorship in that way, where they go back into their little echo chamber. But it's not going to change the fact that if you put something out in the public forum has every right to be able to comment and criticize it where they feel they need to. And there was nothing that I said that really attacked the individual. I said that they were displaying narcissistic behavior by doing what they were doing, but I didn't tell them to go, disappear or go jump off a cliff in Minecraft. I said, I'm asking a question. How could you possibly be in favor of censorship? And their response is to block me. So I think that tells us everything we need to know about this individual.
We've talked about this briefly. The idea that we talked about this yesterday, that in the last few years, that there's been a generation of people who, whether they've been broken down or indoctrinated into this idea that that censorship can be a good thing, that hate speech should be censored, that that bad things should be removed from the world, which bad is subjective, right? These subjective things. So, and this is a very, very new thing. Like last 5-10 years, where these people have it. It almost seems like a product. And Alex, I think you can speak to this a little bit more, where things are so good, right? And we've talked about this several times. The idea that things are so good in society that you have to search for things to complain about, to be upset about. And Alex, you mentioned the idea of censorship, where you grew up, and the aspect of that and it's, I don't really know how to react to that. How do you fix these people? How do you show them that we live in such a wonderful society, specifically in America, with the ability to have free speech? It's not something to be taken for granted.
Well, us reacting like we're reacting here, on that is a part of the reaction, because like where everyone was like in this conditions of like a 15 years of financial positive anomaly, like where everyone has everything, everyone's bored, right? Everyone's contempt, everyone has money to effectively go and buy games and food and beer and stuff, and it was the parts of the reason for the companies to think, like in the entertainment sector, that people would consume anything they would throw at them, because that was how it is. And now what changed this is that macroeconomical situation changed to the point where inflation's rocking, right? We need to look at the wallets and choose where to spend these dollars, and a lot of people who are basically asking questions about the DEI, about like the quality of the products, essentially, those are the people who are choosing what they want to buy or not to buy today, because they cannot afford to buy any concept, any idea, any product as of now. And people are also vocal in the internet so much, and I have the theory about it, like that a lot of people kind of missed the moment where going online and arguing about cool stuff or not cool stuff, or participating in any form of war, is as much as entertaining activity as playing a video game, for example. And it's free as well. It's free, like YouTube's winning this. So I think that the way to fight it is very simple. It's like it's been said by a whole bunch of people, it's just famous people and philosophers and just people who operate common sense in general. Just you gotta say what you think. Like when you see things like that, like when someone tries to censor you, like nothing stops you from being just, like, why?
Well, people are
it's
scared.
A question that really disarms people. I mean, like, people like, you cannot do that. And like, what? Why? What's the reason for it? Like, why I cannot exercise my freedom of thought and freedom of communication, asking these questions and expressing my opinion about this particular subject the way I'm expressing? Am I doing something wrong here? And when they try to rationalize it, you just basically say that, well, I see nothing wrong. Like, it's not illegal. It's not, you cannot point me anywhere, like in the book or whatever, like that it would say that I'm doing anything wrong. I mean, like, I'm just talking about things which I consider to be true, and I express them, like the way I express them. I could be wrong, and I would be super happy to apologize and say I'm wrong if I would be proved I'm wrong. But until that happens, like, sorry, you cannot really shut me down, like, and no one wants to be the mouthpiece for someone else's ideas.
Right.
And no one should be. So a part of this issue as well is that people who are assuming a lot of positions of a game journalist, let's call it, I don't want to put it like just only the game journalist, but let's put it this way. For people of influence in community are often people who self-proclaim this authority and this influence. And they're just got very used to the fact that they can exercise a lot of authority and the power without people questioning them. And what's happening now is people just start questioning them, like for whatever reason. And this is very inconvenient. Like, so they need to get used to the fact that now they need to explain directions. It's as simple as this.
Right.
We all get accountable, more accountable, and have to get more accountable in the situations where situations got a little bit worse in the world and around us.
Well, it's funny because I think that's why shows like ours are important, right? You have someone described side scrollers as like a wake up call for the video game industry. That there's a large group of people who are just like, yo, what the fuck? Like this ain't right. This is stupid. This is dumb. And that's important. It is important to call people out on that. And when you see our gaming journalists be like, no, it's okay to send like that shit needs to be rejected to half court, and say, and that's kind of what we're doing here.
It's also important from the point of view of mechanic, like just to show more about people who are like sincerely and honestly asking questions about the stuff which doesn't suit them well. Because like, trust me, there is a lot of people in development and in the world and people who are watching the podcast, like who for some reason, maybe they're just shy or introverted, or they're just surrounded by the community of people who just gaslight them and gaslight them. And they just do not see a positive example how they can verbally oppose the situation. And when they see a lot of people just operating as free people in a matter of free speech, like exercising the right to speak about whatever they want, they could do that as well. And I think it's a good message, like people should follow that.
All right. I think we all agree this person's an idiot. So congratulations, idiot person. We have an update on the Stellar Blade thing, and this is the joke that Kay had earlier, which totally flew over my head because I didn't understand it. This is the before the patch of Stellar Blade with the hard R. Here is the after the patch. See, it's crime R. That's why I didn't understand the reference, because I hadn't seen this yet. So they went in and they changed it. So there you go. It's now no longer hard R, but crime R, which would be really fun.
It was so quick as well. Mm-hmm. Just literally like less than an hour, an update. Mm-hmm. That's the level of commitment from the developers. I mean, like, you want to see. Very cool.
Just get it in, get it out the door for sure. Yeah. All right. Alex, we're going to get into your story here in a second, but I promised Savvy that we talk localization. Savvy? Hey, how you doing?
I'm great. My knees are a little sweaty now as I'm anticipating getting into localization. Ooh.
Do you want to? Okay, when it comes to localization, would you like to talk about Pokemon Go, or would you like to talk about the localizer? Well, I'll tell you. We'll just get into this. This is from Grummz. It says Brian Gray, one of the key localizers for Eiden. I don't even know what this is. I have no idea what this is. Shares why he has to fix all gendered references in games he localizes. It's the exact poison you'd expect, long denied by localizers as, quote, conspiracy theories. So this was an interview that he did in 2012. And he says, dealing with sexism, homophobia, and gender stereotypes by cutting, altering, and strengthening the characters, their words, and their representations are quite normal for game localizations between Japan and the United States. In an interview discussing other work, Gray informed me that, quote, gender issues, in terms of how women are viewed, portrayed as ultimately being secondary to the man and the male hero, and where women will play along with that role. They won't be laughed at or made fun of. Everyone is on the same page here. In Japanese, these characters come across as endearing, whereas in the West, they come off as very sexist. And these are things that tend to universally get cut when localizing from Japan to the United States. Because certainly the writer's intention was not to offend anybody, and that would be offensive. And so the idea is that this isn't really what's important in this scene. I mean, if it's important, then it'll be left in. But if it's not important, then just find another gag or joke to riff here. And this cutting happens fairly often. So this is from over a decade ago, saying that at that point it happens all the time. So you can only expand on how much it's happened in the last last few years or so. Savvy, what are your thoughts on changing things from its native language?
Dear Brian, go fuck yourself. Seriously, who decided that was offensive? Did Brian take a poll of all of America? Did he ask if anybody asked for this? What is it about the character that he finds offensive if they're not front and center? I don't understand this logic. I can't empathize with this logic at all, and I think I do a pretty good job of trying to empathize with where people come from. When he makes arbitrary decisions, all he's doing is stroking his own ego because it's a power play for him. He gets to decide what's okay and what isn't. But the funny thing is, people are paying for a product from the storyteller. They don't want Susan from California telling us what is and isn't okay. Nobody cares as you sip your Starbucks and you've got your stupid fuck the establishment thing on your stupid Apple laptop. Nobody cares about your little half-assed gag jokes. Nobody cares about flexing on anybody or putting in this terrible internet lingo into games where clearly the original Japanese dialogue doesn't have that. It is so important to every single character, no matter how small they might be to you, that the character is left in its whole. Little changes destroy context.
Mm-hmm.
Changing things from love to like destroys context. Changing apologies and inserting the word like sorry for flexing on you, it destroys the character. It takes you out of the game. It takes you out of the world. It takes you out of the story. Nobody paid for you. They paid for the original product and they deserve to have the original product. And I'm shocked localizers can't be sued for that because I think that it's a bastardization and cultural vandalism. Why are you saying that the Japanese culture, that characters that are endearing to Japan, is somehow offensive here in America? I want an explanation for these words. And my shtick is always ask questions, and none of them can answer these questions. None of them.
Just very inconvenient questions. You have very low chances to be employed in any corporate. You know that, right? Just people don't like questions. No, I mean,
so I've never worked a normal job.
But I really one thing I wanted to add here, is that I think what's happening, is that people who don't really have a lot of authority and autonomy, in their business, they're just trying to carve themselves their own subject they can run and therefore build their own figure out of it. And the easiest way for it is to hijack something that belongs to someone else because it's already created, and you can literally just go in and say that this is what I think. And if you are very confident, if you can fake it till you make it, you just start running with it. And then Susan talks to Nancy in California telling that Josh is a person who knows that. And then Philip from Washington hears about it online. And all of a sudden, Josh is an expert, right? And this is just how it runs. And people in academia do it all the time, by the way. Like in academia, you write a thesis, about the hypothesis, right? You write a hypothesis and you go and you defend it against the commission. And if they note to that, it's considered to be a fact, somehow magically, and therefore you're an expert in it. But the truth is that the audience don't like it. I mean, I can talk from example. My first school is linguistics, and I wrote it in the chat right before that, right? It's the way we've been taught, because my class were supposedly people who translate in a large industrial and government interpretations and stuff and everything. Is that there are people who are quite literally training you, saying that language is not a platform for your self-expression when you are an interpreter. Any mistake that you can done in this scale of negotiation can lead to international consequences. It's just all this jazz, right? About, and this is it really sticks to your mind because you understand that your one job here is to translate from one language to another language. And there's been a period of time, I think in late 90s, beginning of 2000-ish, when there's been this phenomena which would be called an author localization, where there will be an official localization, which should be always up to the material. And then you can go and make your own version of localization of the product non-commercially and say that this is how I remade this from my perception, but I agree with Sav, it's kind of like it's weird to me from the legal perspective, because if there is a product at the market and it's using specific branding and people are buying this for this specific branding, because like this example you brought in, it's a spiritual successor of Suikoden. And Suikoden is a famous Japanese series, right? Like being loved by a lot of people, and people behind this series, there's a lot of marketing money being put in that. And when someone starts to change the product based on their opinion, let's be honest, nothing else, they compromise the sales. And even if they will take the product and take a separate product without the authors giving them a permission for it, they're getting into the grounds where they can be sued. And for some reason, this just not happening, and I'm surprised it's not. Because like typically, entertainment sector of corporate America is not really friendly, and Japanese companies are not really friendly from the legal perspective at all. I think they just don't know about that.
It'd be real interesting. I think it'd really just take one lawsuit and one lawsuit to bankrupt a company, a localization company, for them to shape up really quick. But here's an example. For those
businesses as well. I mean, because often when companies get out of the business because they just made this wrong hiring decision, and I've been doing localizations as well. It's often like a 10 people localization department, and there's this one person, who just does it, and writes about that only in his private Twitter, and no one knows about it. But the thing here is that whatever you think it's just or not, a legal body, the company would be eligible for it. It's not about the employee, it's about the company, hold out this to happen.
Well, here's an example of from a game that was localized by Brian Gray. Here it is on the left-hand side. This is what word for word an exact translation says. When will I meet this gentleman? And the response was, he's already nearby. Please join forces with him and save magical land. Right. That's it. Word for word an exact translation. And this is what it was translated to. Champion, how will I recognize her? Response, this is the 80s, hun. It's a him, and he's white, except when he's Asian. It's complicated. You must find the champion. Help him at all cost. Our very survival depends on it.
This is just the bad variety.
Right. It like doesn't make sense at all. Like why did they feel the need to put in this, the 80s, hun? It's a him and he's white, except he like that's the dumbest shit I've ever read. And
it gets worse than that too, a lot of times. But as soon as you start educating consumers, because most people have no idea this is going on, only in the last 3 years or so has the conversation made it to normies. And when you show them these kinds of things, there isn't a single person who's like, oh yeah, that change is great. No one says that. They go, huh, that's really strange. Why'd they do that? And no one has an answer. So all we can do, the best thing we can do, is talk about this and get it out there, because this is the only way to make a change. And, it's really sad and it's really, really frustrating, because you want to support the game creators. You want to buy the product and you want to be able to understand the story, because obviously not everybody's going to go learn Japanese. Luckily, there are fan communities who do fan translations and mods and things like that, but it's not always realistic. Like if it's a game on the Switch or, a console, you can't obviously go and get a fan-made thing. And it's really annoying to play with Google Translate on your phone, constantly pointing at the screen, but that's actually something I've done. I do it a lot because I just won't buy American products anymore, because localization is bastardization, and I just won't support a lick of it. It's just, I'm done. I'm so done. I was nice for a while, but I'm done. These people all suck.
That's a freaking point.
Well, do you want to talk about more people? Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, sorry. I think the part of the reason, for what Sav says about normies starting to realize this stuff is that entertainment products, especially digital entertainment products, has a very shitty refund policies in general. And if we would have better refund policies, like that goes for a longer time, like with a bunch of stipulations like, oh, if somebody drastically changed the story and the narrative and the essence and the concept of the product you've been purchasing for a long time. Let's talk about Warhammer. Like I don't want to buy a 500 quid pound sterlings for people who are not from England of like a Titan, right? And I don't want to spend 2 weeks painting it, like to be told from someone in a games workshop that now it's a I don't know, not a Titan, but whatever else. Think about it, like because they just decided so, like because it completely kills the purpose of the product. It makes it a different product, like it's literally, it's just weird, like, and I would want to be able to refund it. Like
people fall in love with the product and the story.
Yeah.
And even when the makers start retroactively changing things, it makes it harder for the consumer and the fan to follow along. Yeah. And it tells the consumer, if you don't respect your own work, why should I?
Yeah. It's also because of like this stage in the company where a company goes to scale, like, and the new people show up and they're like literally go for like, they're selling new audiences idea, right? Like against people who are working like for an older time. But the trick here, and not a lot of people know about that, is that when people sell the concept of new audience, no one sells it with the repercussions that will happen. No one goes for like, we can extend it for 40% new audience on the risk of losing 20% of core audience. Everyone just goes, we're going to expand it 40%. And then you get to the weird situations. I really like, just talk to people and ask questions and basically provoke people a little bit to think more actively. Like, just think about, it's absurd, but to understand that this is absurd, you need to go to a different type of scenario. Let me come up with one. Like, think about a scenario where NRA, like National Rifle Association, for some reason just shows up being kind of like, you know what, we talk about guns too much. And there's this Josh or Steve internally, and they're like, we need to expand our borders. We need to start selling toasters and the washing machines as well. Like, and they just go off, like, and they're like, like guns are great, but times are changing. Like our association
we need to be advocates for toasters, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do toasters as well. It's the same thing, like, and people who goes against them, they're like, we it's not the purpose we joined your association in the first place, and it's not, and we've been paying money for being a part of this association for like 10 years maybe, like, and now you're changing the whole concept. It just doesn't make any sense, like, at all. And people are pissed about it. And if we talk about the hobbies like Warhammer, it's a horribly expensive hobby. I don't know if people understand that. Like, it's a horribly expensive. It's very time consuming. It's committing people a lot, and people do get very pissed when other people try to change anything around it. Of course. Yeah. So, and the same with localization. I'm sorry, I mean, like, it went a little bit astray, like, but the thing is that you buy the product, and often with the Japanese games, like with Persona or like or Suikoden or like for others, like it's a series, right? It's a longer series. It's a brand associated, and if let's say for like 8 episodes, it's been true to the originals and the source material, and people have been happy. Now, like, let's say a company changes localization bureau and they just start writing whatever bullshit comes into their minds into that. Like that, like text example you showed, Craig, it's like, it's just some extreme level of GPT going wrong. Like, it's just very bad writing. Right. I mean, like, people would want to step away from whole of the hobby, not just this one particular chapter, because they would be so extremely disappointed.
Well, it's definitely, Sav, you're obviously very passionate about this, and I think rightfully so. And it's like, I feel like there's a bigger issue here, is that people, obviously there's this idea that they know better, right? Why would, you're too stupid of a consumer to understand the differences or what they were trying to say. So we're gonna bring it to you in our rose-colored glasses or whatever it is.
That's something that I hate so much, because it's usually uneducated individuals telling a consumer who is oftentimes on average more educated than they are, that they're too dumb to understand something. If there is a cultural reference in a game that I don't know, I love that because then I go and I look it up. I go try to understand why was this funny or what is this food. I did it at the age of 9 thanks to Pokemon. I know I've talked about this before, but that was when I was radicalized against localizers. I never healed from the jelly donut incident. They're rice balls and the bastard called it a jelly donut. Don't put grape jelly in rice. It doesn't taste good.
The great rice ball incident.
If my 9-year-old brain could figure that out at the dawn of, the internet coming into normie households, don't tell people today that they're too dumb to understand something. People would much rather learn and be educated. Why are you so afraid of that? Who decided that these things are offensive or needed to be changed? It doesn't make sense.
Literally not a one person in the world like to be talked down to. Like there's no one, I presume. I mean, like, well, man, unless it's a kink for someone. I mean, like, but it's like people just don't like when someone just shows up and try to show the facts into their throats and basically say that you also need to be happy about it, that I'm doing that, because if you're not, you're offending me. And you're like what's going on here? This is just macabre here. And everyone should follow this conversation. Conversation is an instrument of civilization. Can go heated up, can go down, but it cannot be based on ultimatums.
Well, that's what a great statement right there. Conversation can't be based on ultimatums. That's awesome. All right. We're running on time, so I want to make sure we have enough time to really dig into it with Alex and what he has to say today. But before we get there, I would be remiss if we didn't talk Pokemon Go just for a minute or two, because Sab, you made this song and I want to play the song, but before I do, I just want to present this.
That's from Pokemon, right?
So I want to talk about this just from a 3D perspective. So I do 3D modeling and 3D art as well. I'm kind of an everything artist. And this is intentional. Even if you procedurally generate this, even if you do the mirror function, you still have to go in and actually add in that shading because of the way that it's done. Somebody did that by hand, and it passed through review. Now, Pokemon, the actual Pokemon company, takes this thing really, really seriously. They take upskirting seriously, and they take things like that seriously because it's a kid's game, and they walk a very fine line. You can say whatever you want about the models and the way that they look. I'm obviously very strongly opinionated, but stuff like that is not okay. And that tells us Niantic doesn't care at all about the product or the parent company. And it is embarrassing and really sad.
Well, hold on. I thought that through the modeling, it's supposed to be a better source of representation in Pokemon Go. So you're telling me that there's not women walking around like this that are looking down with their magnifying glasses with giant camel toes?
I personally have never seen it, but I guess maybe I just don't go outside at all. I am allergic to UV radiation, so maybe I'm just out of touch. It's probably it, honestly.
I haven't saw this picture, but I saw a bunch of others from the same series. And I literally got this theory, where management of the company just goes into developers who kind of love their game, and they're like, you got to do that. And they're like, no fucking way, and they're like, no, unless you get fired. And they just crudely sabotage it, just making
I
this
hope that's the case.
Completely unbearable to watch, just destroying all of the modeling, making this ugly, as a sign of protest. I mean, that would be at least somewhat logical, to think about.
Something
because
I would do.
Otherwise, we're all people. I mean, but otherwise, otherwise I'm just like, how could someone just model this intentionally? Well, I mean, not even from the point of view of representation. I mean, you're modeling, right? I'm not, but I've been producing video games for a long time. I know how the thing works. It's very hard to make that intentionally bad model. You need to kind of have a talent for making bad shit, you know, like, and be like completely very bad at this, you know, like, but it's horrible. I mean, like, all of the screenshots people have been showing, they're like just super bad. Like, even if that would be sent for some weird outsourcing company to do shit, you know, like on a short notice, I mean, like, it would still probably should be better, you know, like, but it
makes no sense.
It's just unbelievably bad quality, you know, like, in general. It's just horrible.
Well, these people are super talented at making bad shit. You said it yourself. So, so much so that Sav, you've actually put on your musician cap and created a song.
I'm not a musician.
Well, I'm not going to say I couldn't tell by the song, but it's wonderful that you made this song. This is obviously AI generated, correct?
Yeah. I wrote all of the lyrics. The lyrics are mine, and I told it in what style, but otherwise, yeah, I claim no rhythmic talent whatsoever.
Well, I do think it's important that we listen to the song. Do you have a title for this song, this wonderful sonnet that we're about to listen to?
Pokemon Go, heck yourself.
There we go. Here it is right here, premiering on Side Scrollers, 2 minutes and 7 seconds of absolute Pokemon Go bliss. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
Just had a long day at work, sitting at my desk, ready to walk home. Can't wait to boot up my phone on my boring stroll. Jump into some AR, goodness, see my little buddies. Gotta catch them all, keeping my soul alive. Just a wage slave by day, but a master at night. I log into my favorite app, see my Pikachu waving at me. What is that beside my best buddy? The way Lord update, nobody asked for it with the ugly stick of, oh my God, what is that? Hey, Pokemon Go, hack yourself. Now you can look as ugly in the game as you are in real life. Hey, you got no shape and your crotch is 2 feet long. What the hell is this pile of dung? I think I'll carve my eyes out with a knife. Standing looking at this new abomination, ready to toss my phone. There they go again, making dumb decisions. I just want to catch my gosh dang Caterpie's been playing since 2016. This might finally break my Pokemon spree. Hey, Pokemon Go, hack yourself. Now you can look as ugly in the game as you are in real life. Hey, you got no shape and your crotch is 2 feet long. What the hell is this pile of dung? I think I'll carve my eyes out with a knife. Pokemon Go, hack yourself. Now you can look as ugly in the game as you are in real life.
Wow.
All right.
It's a banger.
That is
It
so
was a banger.
sad.
I like the idea that your crotch is 2 feet long and you want to take a knife and stab out your eyes. That's just wonderful, Sav.
That is so
Great
sad.
job.
Some of those examples I've never seen before, especially the one with the headphones where they just like indent their heads.
Yeah.
Wow.
They didn't convert any of the mapping or the modeling or whatever, all of the bones, and they just pushed it out. The other big thing to this, and I wish I had known it while writing the song, is they actually got rid of things that people paid real money for, and then they made it so you can't actually wear certain cosmetics together anymore, which again, people spent real money for on items to pair some items together because they make a unique look. So yeah,
You know, it is important as the most important thing, though, is that, as pointed out, as Midik says, indented head representation. Right. Very important here in society.
truly inclusive.
Yeah.
Well, great job, Sav. That's awesome. And
Very cool.
I appreciate your efforts. I'm going to need to learn more about this AI singing technology because I got all sorts of song ideas in my brain that I want
Oh my gosh. It's so cool. I'll send you the link and everything and tell you how to use it. It's honestly the most fun I've ever had in getting to put my 16-year-old poetry and and lyrics and stuff that I wrote like as a teenager into it, and like hearing it come to life it's really cool. It's really cool. Anyway.
Brilliant. All right, looking forward to that. All right, let's move on. We're going long today. That's okay. We got Alex here, and Alex, I'm very excited to chat with you about this stuff. Okay, we got a lot going on here, and before we get into this, guys, hit the thumbs up button if you haven't yet. We'd really appreciate that. It helps get the word out about the show, and as we continue to grow, and hit the subscribe button. Okay, so a brief overview. You worked at Epic for 7 years, 2 years as a contractor, 5 years in employment as licensing and business development manager for pretty much Unreal Engine, right?
Unreal Engine in Europe.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
Story. Just long story short, I'm like about 25 years in game development in general. I just started early. I mean, like as a lot of people did, which is selling retail discs, like in Ukraine. In our little analogy of the GameStop. Being a gaming journalist as well back in the day when game journalism was writing into actual physical magazines, which is crazy, isn't it? Was much more strict, was better in my opinion, obviously, and then worked in a number of game development companies, from companies you probably heard about, GC Game World, for about 4 years. That's like Cossacks and S.t.a.l.k.e.r 1, like those times. Built my own company, did a bunch of work for hires for platforms and stuff. We did, for example, mobile version of the Two Brothers, The Journey of Two Sons, of Life is Strange, the first one. A bunch of other gigs. Then 7 years in Epic. Of a beautiful time, good memories, good stuff. Joined the company when there has been 500 people. Left when the company upscaled to, I want to say 4,000 people. And then she's been doing a bunch of consultancies and like quick employments, kind of mercenary work, basically, like helping people with production, business development, technological development and stuff, mostly in UK and United States, West Coast, Los Angeles, mostly. And about a couple of months ago, I just retired completely, like just doing my own creative shit. And just occasionally consulting some people that on the stuff I really like, like it's more about this kind of gigs. So and thank you for the invitation again. It's good to be here.
Yeah.
Really fun.
Well, let's start here. You've seen the industry change a lot over the last long time, last few decades. Everything from let's start with journalism right there. In conversations prior to this, you talked about how journalism has changed in the video game space. This has been a common thread over the last decade or so. Obviously, the original Gamergate was the idea. It's been framed as this sexist, homophobic thing, but at the end of the day, it started as this as the idea of fighting about the journalistic integrity of gaming journalists, and then it was spun into this other narrative, and now we're here in the middle of this other war that's happening between, and it's more or less the same thing. We've seen journalists twist things in real time, stories in real time, that excluding certain very important pieces of stories, and not reaching out to certain sources, and really trying to spin a certain narrative to fit their personal narrative. How has video game journalism changed over the course of your career?
Sure. Well, I mean, currently just going a little bit forward, it's a crisis now. But this crisis was developing over time, and we need to look a little bit outside of the game journalism per se, but to the relationship of the game journalism with the audience, with the publishers, and with general game development complex of the industry, right? Because it's only then you start to understand what's going on. And back in the day, gaming journalism was really not being really fueled with a lot of ambitions in general. Just a bunch of dudes and gals writing about video games, printing these bad quality magazines, and just going for the first website. And their ideal world, has been a world where they've been able to actually communicate with the actual game developers, the big ones. They can get the copies of the games and write about them, and maybe one day become game designers. It was all about the communication. Like people tend to forget that the core of the game development industry actually organized in many senses. by people who just wanted to belong somewhere. Because like when you've been related to the games in general back in early 90s, like no one liked it. I literally, like my father told me to find a real job when I told I'm gonna do games. Like it just no one would ever believe in that shit, right?
Right.
Like people are like, what are you thinking? Grow over this. And the game journalistic was also a part of this complex. And then when business started to get a little bit more mature and grow up, it borrowed a lot from the Hollywood. Like somewhere in the beginning of 2000-ish, like it's been very active period of time where movies industry started to look at the game development in general. And there's been first attempt of trying to do cross media, or the transmedia as they call it back in the day. Now they put a little bit different meaning into this world.
Right.
I mean, like, and what's going to be happening is that like game development just literally borrowed a lot of specialists and a lot of people and a lot of practices from the Hollywood in general. And Hollywood is run by the access media and access definitions. So industry started to operate this whole idea of, if you do the right thing, if you hang out with the right people, if you know people with connection, if you're rubbing shoulders with the right chaps, right? If you're going to the right shows, you would be invited to the dinners, you would be invited to the right parties, you would be having more opportunities than anywhere else. And if you're not, you're going to get to the blacklists. And this is literally this period of time where there started this weird, awkward, and somewhat hilarious groups called like Games Illuminati or something, which is fucking ridiculous, like if you would think about it. I mean, like, and because people wanted to be more important, and people wanted to gain more importance when they started to make money. Where, alas, the issue is that even if you start to make some decent money and later a lot of money, it doesn't guarantee you that other money would respect you. Because like old money don't give a shit about new money, like in general, like, and all of those people who run like this, lots of video game development companies, like they largely get disregarded by, like people who've been making money on oil for like 5 last generations.
Right.
Like we say in England, who still have the chest with the doublons that been stolen by their grandfathers and grandmothers from the other countries, like didn't, right? I mean, like, and so the thing, right, like is that the game journalists really, and the game journalistic in general, started to get the first whiff of actual power, being the gatekeepers of what goes and what doesn't go anywhere, like, because it was very convenient for the companies as well. Okay. So you would have this complex, like where you have video game journalists and marketing people, like, and they would work together, like, and either you get into this hangout or not. And
about what time period was this? You said this was like around the 2000s. You said
this is later 2000-ish. This is like 2010 and 12. Like
okay,
15,
so the internet exists at this point, and
yeah,
the internet
develops as well.
Social media and right. And I will say this: I've been on that side of it, right? The first company, I will agree with you. I definitely agree. There was a turning point where the access media became a very big thing. This idea that if you don't toe the line, you won't have access to our games, our events, our demos, our merchandise we'll send you. You more or less need to be a conduit for our message and nothing else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but at the same time, like this is the first point again when people started to feel like they're powerful, and this is the peak and the verge, right in between the digital media and social networks became like the dominant force, like the platforms like the YouTube, like there is like 3 or 4 years. I mean, like where journalistic outlets, both there are still magazines, like they're becoming obsolete over time, but there are these websites which it's either they talk about you or you're like nowhere. Like, and they literally hold the gates of the whole thing. And there's the whole idea, like, and there's a lot of power coming up from this position, right? And people know that, and game developers know that, and that's getting very close to the gamer's gate, where people start asking people integrity because they start to feel that something's wrong, like, and there is a foul play. There is a nepotism, like the personal relationship, there is a level of corruption in it. People don't like it. And the internet is already big enough, like to actually, like spin it as a scandal, as something which is rotatable, like which brings a lot of attention. And so that thing happens. Now, after that, for a long time, video platforms starting to get dominance influencers are getting into the space and they're starting to get, like much more of a bigger and substantial power than actual both media and marketing of the companies. And they're losing power. They're like literally losing power. Text media online at this point. I mean, I think I think this whole situation with DOI is actually doing an awesome job to resurrect almost that body of the text media, because like a lot of influencers are showing these articles, like every time at the screen, and people actually go and do the clicks, because otherwise I had no sources, like for it. And now we're in a situation, I mean, like it went to the point where a lot of people asking like a variety of very different questions from all of the sites, like the audience gamers, like as we discussed in a different macroeconomic scenario, they're like, we can't trust this, we hate to be educated. I mean, like we don't want you to influence your agendas, and they're trying to find their new position into this world. Like game journalists, PR companies, agencies that consult on the soft subjects, and the community management corps are all trying to find new space into the industry for themselves, because otherwise they're becoming obsolete.
All right.
It's just it's a redundant jobs at this point.
Okay, let's talk about that. We've established that access journalism is a very real thing in the video game space. That is a common occurrence you see every day, whether it's a YouTuber, whether it's Kotaku. If you want access, you need to toe the line. Let's talk about, and we're going to get into DEI. We're going to get into the expansion of the industry. I want to talk about community managers. Okay, we talked. Community managers have been a very big focal point over the last month or so. Community managers.
Before we jump into that, I do just have one follow-up question before changing subjects. So in between the when Gamergate 1 happened and now, did you ever experience studios discussing the clickbait nature of journalism? Because we saw that shift happen too.
Yeah, of course. And I also talking to a lot of journalists who are actually working to some of these outlets, like in a personal manner, right? Like no names, obviously. But people would say stuff like, dude, like reviews are that, previews are that, like it's gotta be clickbait, it's gotta be a bright picture. Your website need to have a video section, because like otherwise the clicks are going down, and you need to understand that the business model, like of those businesses in general, is just generating clicks and producing advertisement. A lot of people try to do different things around it. It just doesn't work, and therefore, I mean, like they need to produce attention all of the time. And it's not the question of privilege, from the question of survival. I mean, like for this type of businesses, which is how it works. Because like currently, again, like I really like the second time I references Osman Gold, but really watching his videos, right? I mean, like you ask this question, and this is a really up to the point question. Like, what was the last time before this whole hassle happened when you can recollect a text article that really put everyone's attention in and changed everything for at least a couple of days in the industry? And I cannot remember one. I can think about numerous videos. I mean, like I cannot think about the text, like that would do the same effect. So they are in a very complex position currently. And what they're afraid is about, I mean, like the second source of money. And this is why, like it's connected. And this is why I'm bringing in, it's important to understand connection with the companies and the PR agencies. There is this chain, right? Like where every big companies approves the budget for the marketing, if this is a publisher, annually. And they take the budget from the last year and put it on the next year. And it literally repeats itself on the same lines, and they just tweak some stuff, like over there. And there are still the same outlets that they're paying money on behalf of the developer, because like that money would be recouped from the campaign. With every year, like it's getting less and less effective. So you do understand what the problem is, right? Like it's basically people in PR and marketing and the media, like all connected together, like, and they survive like many people survive because they hold the line and they preserve the relationships. But that starts to happen more and more on the cost of the effect of positive marketing for the developers. I mean, like, and that's an issue.
So did you personally notice a shift then in the way that studios also handled marketing when more investors started coming in? And investors don't necessarily know anything about video games. They're just there to get their return.
Don't know anything about the video games. Investors, the people who are sold promises. I mean, like, and investors are looking at any business in reality, because investment is an instrument of scale, right? I mean, like, it all depends from a company shows them the results, and they're saying that there is like year to year, couple of years, like, and we're basically saying and promising you that we did like 20 and 25 and 30, and we're going to do 45, and you're investing money based on this promise. And everything which is done internally, like, investors are not interested in that at all. I mean, like, because they have too many businesses, they have large portfolios. I mean, like, they're not following any of those. And that became indeed a very serious issue of marketing with the publisher at this point. Like, as a lot of developers are saying, becoming more of a liability than the privilege, because like of all of the crisis happening in the industry, there's a lot of cases. So we need to also a quick comment here, like how the major publisher's contract works, right? Like, it's a developer comes in, and every publisher contracts is basically that you give the right to license your property to be distributed on these specific platforms for this amount of time. And typically developer shows some game in any form, like alpha, beta, whatever, like, and they're provided with an advance to finish the game and marketing commitment. Marketing commitment is super important, because like it will define access and visibility of your game. So typical contract is we'll give you $1 million to finish it, and we will recoup these funds. And we will also basically borrow your marketing commitment for like another $1 million that will help to promote your game. But effectiveness of the marketing part is defined specifically by how publisher will operate the marketing. And with the change of the media, the market, digital media to be much more popular than game journalism and traditional PR and just text media, right? I mean, like, you would suppose that they would change most of those expenses to actual streamers and yada yada, but it didn't happen. What happened is, is that there's still those lines where they're like 5 articles to this outlet, participants in the shows, boosted the GDC, and a bunch of things which are questionably effective, and you're not really sure if they are. And I honestly, I think, that partially some of the agencies who consult on the specific subjects that theoretically are sold as something that will increase the audience in the game, and therefore revenue,
Right.
like they might be a part of the marketing budget as well. I mean, like, again, expenses that would be recouped from the developer, from the sales. It's not like someone giving this money to anyone.
So you feel that from an investment standpoint, that obviously most of them have no knowledge of games. They see it as they want an ROI, the return on investment for.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
No, businesses are built to make money, like from investment standpoint, right?
Right.
It's what they do.
So have you, in your time, have you seen, the companies Blackrock have been thrown out, right? The idea that Blackrock is investing in companies and such. I would love to hear your
asset
thoughts.
Manager in the world.
What's that?
Right? It's the biggest asset manager in the world, right?
Right. Have you seen their influence firsthand? Have you seen that thrown down?
I'll put it this way: companies of this size and overall private equity, like companies who invest and who runs a lot of assets and management, didn't knew about the existence of the gaming industry before the COVID.
Okay, so what happened then? What happened during COVID?
Well, during COVID, a couple of interesting things happened. A lot of industries went into decline, and gaming industries was on the rise for a couple of reasons, again, because people were sitting home and they're trying to play an escapism, going into the video games. And they also had money for it, especially in the United States, because people have been getting stimulus checks. So people were getting free money, buy some games, and it was just curve, which is going up and up and up, very steeply. I mean, and people who's been in video games, they just got this feeling that game industry is somehow just invulnerable, and will exist always, and it will go up always. And that promise was sold to a lot of investors in venture investment, in the private equity investment, and to the asset management sometimes. And if you would look at the list of the investors in general, in bigger companies, you would see very weird companies where they're like pension funds, for example. Like it's because people started to perceive video game industry as something more or less important. But people, I mean, again, I want to come back to this analogy, like where people are telling that Larry Fisk is sitting, I don't know, it was the basement with the Koreans. He's sitting at the roof, right? And he's just looking down the London or New York, whatever and he's like, I'll make everyone trance. It's Tuesday. I'm a multi-asset billion manager, and I have decided that my secret agenda for all of you, is just to change your sexuality. It's not like that. Though there is another reason which is not cool as well. So, and this reason is like, just if you would go online and if you look like what are the 10 most diverse companies in the world, right? You would see companies like Deloitte and EY, like Big Four, right? You would see Marriott probably. You would see BlackRock being somewhere at this list. You will see Accenture, but a bunch of others. But the idea is that you would see a number of global companies who has more than 100,000 people staff, and they all provide flat services. So for them, diversity kind of makes sense. Because Accenture, for example, is a company who operates in all of the countries in the world, and they need to apply to a bunch of other people and companies, and they want to have people on the ground and boots on the ground, right? It's very far from the creative. Another interesting, funky example about, do you know what was one of the most diverse companies back at the end 80s, beginning of 90s? I mean, it's maybe a myth, but I've been told this by someone.
No.
Central Intelligence Agency.
That's
for
funny.
obvious reasons, right? Because you need to have agents of all of the variety of representations and stuff. It makes sense practically. But yeah.
Can I ask you a question though, real quick about that? So obviously, the idea of diversity is it's a common theme we see in the video game space. We need DEI, when diversity, equity, inclusion, but it does seem like there's a Western, specifically Californian influence that is being pushed across the entire medium and into other countries, other regions that these countries they never would have even thought about this at some point.
It's a very simple explanation to it. I mean,
Sure.
it's so a lot of these companies, from entertainment in general, when they started to grow and grow big, and it's big for us. I mean, for MasterCard, it's not big. For Vanguard, it's not big. For Canadian pension fund, it's not big at all. I mean, until it got big to the point where they started to soak in a lot of people from other enterprise businesses for whom diversity is a functional tool, for example. And those people would be hired for a position of vice president and senior vice president and a bunch of other people into the gaming and movie companies, and they will bring in all of those practices. And they will build those practices internally and build those pipelines based on what they've been taught at the previous occupations. I mean, and they started to use their networks and connections and stuff and everything. And in many cases, and in many instances, people are like, oh, they're smart suit people who's been working so much for a great company. I have a question for them. Why did they went away from the successful company? Maybe because they were not the best ones. Maybe because they lost an opportunity over there. But they went into the new business, found out a bunch of nerds. They learned they can really bamboozle, in a lot of senses. And they just introduced all of these practices. And that became a part of an issue. I mean, with DEI, is only one of the agendas. It's just we know about that, and the way we know about that because of Sweet Baby INC. There are others. There is, for example, a carbon emission sustainability agenda. For example, a sustainability in general, saving world from the hunger. Right. And in a lot of senses, those agencies, I mean, they are a racket-based business. They're a business that goes into the businesses and say, if you do not do that, we will go and talk to this specific pool of investors and people with money that you do not support their values. And if we do, they would not communicate to you, and you will lose them as a potential source of money. Right. This is almost any consultancy work in general.
Which is what we saw with SBI, Sweet Baby Inc. and them saying have a talk with your community, or have a talk with your marketing side and see what a horrible thing of kind of the veiled threat aspect of
intimidation.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I don't like. Obviously diversity is a super cool thing, but the minute the diversity is a statistic to be sold to an investor, it stops being genuine and you got to ask questions.
Yeah. It also negatively influenced the production quality in general, because like one of the issues of the industry is that when industry started to scale, especially after the COVID, coming back to these promises, a lot of studio heads and a lot of people who's been involved into large ambitions, like they went into these boardrooms, into investor rooms, and the conversation would be very simple. I mean, like, think about you running a studio of 500 people and you just made this awesome game, right? Like in 3 years, let's say, and it brought you 100 million revenue. Everything is very good. And you would go and talk to people with money, and they would look at that and they would say that, look, I mean, like, we saw figures after the COVID. How about you business guys will make 3 games in 2 years if we would give you $500 million? And people would be like, sure. And they would go back and talk to production, and production would be, you're insane. 9 women do not give a birth to the one child in 1 month. And people with money who already done this promise, they would be, well, we probably will just find other production people who are more compliable, and who would just do whatever we tell them, maybe compromising the quality, and that was an issue, and it's still an issue.
So there's this huge influx of money. Let's talk about the expansion of the industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have this huge influx of money. They're like, hey, we don't, if you're not going to do it, we'll bring in more people, or we need to hire more people here. As an industry expands, like the gaming space has in the last 5, 6, 7 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, as you said, since COVID, there's gonna be a watered down factor associated with it, where like you're not going to have the top talent. You're just going to have, you see this with any sort of sports league or anything where the talent is not as good as
universal.
Yeah.
It's universal. I mean, like, and again, on the scale, especially when the scale is too quick to control the bar of quality of people you're hiring. And let's be honest, most of the HR departments should be completely disbanded into the gaming industry because they're completely disqualified, completely like non-qualified to do any job.
Why do you say that?
Well, because like HR mostly need to do onboarding, offboarding, and the conflict mitigation management, and they do not do any of this in a good quality. Like most of the stuff that HR does is some form of the onboarding, which is often lame. Lame because like they do not understand criteria of people to be onboarded. Like you probably heard from a lot of people, like being just the stupid conversation of, oh, we need to hire someone with 7 years of experience from AAA. That doesn't mean anything. That phrase just doesn't mean anything. It often means just worse things than better things, that qualify people. And HR is mostly like about around 100%. I mean, like their job. And I'm surprised that people surprised when they hear that, is to protect management and to protect the bottom line of the company. I mean, like, it's just what they do. And like that's been an issue as well. I mean, like, and that means that the hiring process is often compromised in general. Like it's not just best people get in, but people with references, people who are more compliable, and people who are more adjusted for the corporate communication get in. And that's a big difference. So not the people with skill, not people with talent. And because of the quick scale, I would say that there would be 3 groups of people who are currently inhabit like most of the gaming companies. One of them would be people who just appeared recently. They're very pragmatic. They do things for money. I have no grudge or sympathy with them. I just don't care. We're like in a completely different cultural spectrum. I mean, like they're not really gamers. They have one practical skill, which is typically very medium. They just sit down there and model stuff or like create gears or whatever.
So these are grunts, if you will.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like right. It's just people who do linear work. There are people who kind of can make games, and they strongly disagree with what executive and management and people who constantly involve into the process say. But they have life liabilities. Like someone has mortgage, someone has relationship, someone do not have savings for some reason, like whatever. And they're like literally sitting here being like, but it cannot leave. But the problem is that these people cannot create the good game quality because it's just not how creative people work. Like if you are intellectually and emotionally castrated from 9 to 5, like sitting into the room of the same people, and you have no word or right to basically go and raise any issues or a problem, like you cannot produce anything of the essence. It's just not how it works. And then there are people who are just compliable to the new structure, and they're like your good corporate soldiers, like they know how to build a career. They do not know how to build a game, but they know how to build a career. They promote it very quickly, and thinking about this whole environment, and this is where we came to for the last maybe 6-7 years at this point. Not everywhere, there are exceptions. Like there are companies who are very serious about preserving the integrity of their technical departments. Talking about Epic, for example, one of the smartest companies in the business. But most of the publisher sectors or most of the internal development sectors, right? They're somehow affected by this model and by this idea. And people who potentially could build great games, people who are passionate and they just do great stuff and shit. These people tend to be very inconvenient by the definition. Just creative, talented person is a fucking disaster to everyone in business. It's a person who constantly has something to say, disagrees, too loud, often smokes, often drinks, often just skips the day, comes up in an office at night, does shit unexpectedly, very hard to calculate and presume. But this is why they're defined as creative geniuses, right? In many senses. And those people mostly been squeezed out from the industry at this point. For someone just left voluntarily, for someone their life in office been made miserable, so they just left. It's an old corporate game which is very similar to the high school games. It's just a lot of gaslighting, lots of ghosting. It's just making sure your coffee is always cold. All that shit, right? And some people just been laid off, some people just been fired, and the status quo we're in, is effectively, if I would lead this analogy to an extreme. You often have a lot of developers at the market who has 50 managers and 10 developers in some sense, and it just, who would make games. There's been a very good question, which I'm sure we'll answer, it's about the cost of the games.
Yes.
It's partially the reason for it, it's about how the costs are built.
Yeah. Okay. So the cost of games has obviously gone up. We're now looking at games that are, $100 million, $200 million. You talk about that. Is that just bloat? Why? How come a game has gone from $10 million to make to $100 million, $200 over the last few years? Is that strictly is that because the exorbitant amount of people that have been hired, or is there something that we're missing here? Is it all bloat? Walk me through that.
Have you seen a movie called Bowfinger with Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy? How they've been making this movie in Hollywood, an indie movie, without Eddie Murphy knowing that he's a star of the movie. I'll quote from this movie. So there is a moment, where Steve Martin character is talking to his assistant, and they're failed studio, right? They're super failed. And Steve Martin goes for we're gonna make a movie, and he just takes the biggie, out of it, just break it, and he starts to calculate money, and it's a $2,285. He's like, we have $2,285. We're gonna make a movie, and his assistant is just sir, but this is Hollywood, isn't this much too expensive than that? And he's like, cut that shit. Unions cost, all the bullshit money spent on parties and hookers, and all this stuff, if you will get all of these costs out, every movie in Hollywood costs exactly $2,285. It's your Hollywood accounting, but you also need to, talking about the common sense in general, think about how compensation of executive sector and the people who lead this whole gig is structured. Their bonuses will be directly dependent from not just from the amount of money that something will make, but also from the amount of people they're running. And in general, how much money would be spent into something to eventually produce bigger revenue, isn't it? And in general, it's a situation where if you would go into Wikipedia and you would ask a question, or anywhere in the online, or someone from the industry, what's the benchmark for cost structure for the AAA game currently, you know, like, and it would be about 200 million, 140 million to production, 60 million into marketing, and it's a little bit variables, you know, like it can change right and left. 140 million, seriously, I mean, like there is a lot of justifications, like cost of content, but I have a number of counter arguments here. Well, first of all, you don't need to build an engine at this point. It was always a very expensive part of the production. You don't need to build an engine. You can go and license Unreal Engine or Unity or whatever. I mean, like, but if this is a big budget, go and license Unreal Engine. Like 5 looks like movie, shiny, great, amazing. So you got a bunch of your costs down at this point. Content, some of the content is very expensive. Some of the content is not. Some of the content actually gradually gets cheaper, like extremely cheaper, like dirt, you know, like because people produce it and you can just minorly remake it, you know, like all of the props and things, like that gets cheaper. Only some of the position of content get like super more expensive, like laser scanned character figures. The other question is why would you need this, you know, like, but that's a completely other question. But even if you comply everything into a budget, and I did this exercise. This is like one of the evenings I was just drinking beer and I just opened Excel and I was just kind of like, I'm going to get this fucker. I'm going to get to understand where this 200 million, at least 140. I couldn't. It can only be justified by all of the overheads and the Hollywood accounting, you know, like where to run anything, you need to have a senior vice president figure and a vice president figure and like 3 vice presidents. And then each one should need to have 2 executive assistants. And these people would need to justify their existence as well. So it means that in office, if this is an office, they would need to show up for production people, for example, and try to tell them something smart, you know, like completely disrupting the process and all. There is a lot of money and expenses going into consultancies. I don't know how like DIY consultancies cost, but I know that some of the business consultancies can go as much as the 5% of your revenue cost annually. So if you're a business making like $100 million, it means that you go for the leading companies in the market and you want to restructure it, you know, like they would take like 5 million for it a year, right? You know, like
is it fair to say the more bosses there are, the more meetings there are, and then the less productivity for the people actually making the games?
But of course, because like, and those meetings are incredibly irritating. It's not like in every company, you know, like, but what people tend to forget about engineers and writers and modelers, like every person who does things related to concentration, you need to spend 20 to 30 minutes just to get into the zone, right? You know, like before you're doing anything, and where people just literally break your concentration, even for 15 minutes, you need to spend another 20, 30 minutes. And then think about this factor as well. I mean, like because of COVID and just in general societal and communication stamina, we all work less at this point. So I read this article where it says that about before the COVID, it would be 6 hours people work from the 8-hour day. And now it's a 4 or 5 hour, you know, like working day for everyone. So just you have a person who works for a 4 or 5 hour, you set 3 of them being meetings to 2 hours to do something. It's like barely anything get done, you know, like in this dynamics. And again, no one listens to production mostly because production people tend to raise a lot of issues. And in corporate, raising problems is a cardinal sin. Like so, you're just breaking everyone's mojo, you know, like when you do. Well, no one likes it.
You mentioned these consulting firms. This has obviously been a very big thing. You said they take 5% of potential annual budget.
It's the leading business ones. You know, like there are like companies like, for example, you got to the point where your business grew up, you know, like to where you need like completely restructure it. Mm-hmm. And people would come in for a full year, like analyze market, do lots of charts and mirror boards and stuff, and talk to all of your employees, redefine the positions of the org chart, basically rebuild your business for the larger scale. Like that can be up to the 5%.
Okay, so what about a company like, you know, the big one obviously is Sweet Baby Inc., right? Their job is to come in. They are a consulting firm. They want to advance, you know, the whole DEI stuff, right? And they want to make things a little more accessible for everybody.
Are they? Well, I mean, maybe they just want to make money. Like, look, I mean, like, it's a very convenient subject. I mean, like, for everyone who goes to GDC and a bunch of other places, I mean, like, if you hang out around, I mean, like, there's always a lot of people who just hang out and talk to people, and they're trying to find the opening for do something for money, like in general. And consultancy agencies, I mean, like they are in a first turn business. Like, again, like I can very easily think about situation in a company called Sour Tea Nature Ltd, like that does, for example, sustainability, carbon emission control agenda, like implementation into the games. And all of a sudden, we have a bunch of agencies and we have a bunch of changes into the games where when you leave your house, you need to turn off all the lights and check that tap water doesn't flow, because otherwise you're a horrible person. You try to kill the earth. And if this is a Star Wars, then they demand to shave Chewbacca naked because he probably otherwise uses a lot of hair dryer, which is bad for electricity and shit, like, and a bunch of other obnoxious, stupid elements, which are just the point of implementation, like, and they get paid for obtaining this knowledge. I understand them being some anxious about people getting informed and not buying products they're associated with, because again, it's a question of survival of their business at this point. There's one thing you can do to any agency that will kill him. Because like any agency is built, like on a factor that they have an undeniable factor of authority in a one specific field of expertise. If you start to questioning their authority in a specific field of expertise, specifically merchandise they're selling, right? Like it starts making the clients anxious, and they start to make the clients thinking about the repercussions and the consequences again. It's like a John Wick, like consequences, right? Like, and that's what kills their business. Like, so this is why they're trying to oppose the way they can, like, and trying to do whatever they can. And in my opinion, all of that's for money. Like, I cannot genuinely imagine reaction that started to be produced the way it was produced after the whole Kerbutus group, like, and the DEI stuff, like, if that would be only ideological. If that would be only ideological, it would be the case of let's ignore them. Like,
okay, then you start, when you deal with something like Sweet Baby and you say, well, the best way to counter them is to question them, right? But when you question them, you're called racist, homophobic, and then people cower.
You shouldn't question their ideological agenda. You should question their actual value for the product. Like, because they sell this thing for some specific value. And again, I presume it's sold as a part of the value to the publisher to be implemented into the developer games to extend, like, on the audiences. And there's been about 10 games that been out and they assembled nothing but issues. My question is, like, let's look at the demographics, let's look at the statistics. What of those games produced more reception and more positive sales on something that they have promised?
The interesting thing to that is I would like to see their pitch deck. And then the great thing about Sweet Baby is that they don't care about their own work, because in Spider-Man 2, they got the flags wrong for the main character.
Right.
How could anybody hire them and take them seriously if they can't even do basic level research?
B2B is a word of mouth a lot. It's just in B2B business, like, people are like, oh, you should use them because we did that, and the Activision people and whoever. I mean, I'm just making shit up. I mean, like, I don't know if they did. I mean, like, but it's a word of mouth in general. I mean, like, but you can be, it's not even that dramatic than people think, like, even if the SBI will close the door, I mean, like, it's they are a very hustle-based entrepreneurs, like, by what they say, like, and if someone would survive the nuclear holocaust, like, that would be the cockroaches and entrepreneur hustles, like, and people who can just produce with new gig. I mean, like, they close those doors, they'll open immediately something else. I mean, like, that would just exploit another element of the gaming or movie or other entertainment industry. I mean, like, because that's just the mentality. It's like this hack mentality in general, like, let's find the weak spot, like, we can abuse for the profit, and let's start making it cool, like, so. And this is exactly what they're doing. I mean, like, if you will step away from the damage, because we're worried, like, because again, we're like super invested into the video games because we love them, all of our activities connected to it. So this is something where we're emotionally attached. Now, try to think about the situation where them are not. they're like looking at it specifically just as a potential merchandise they can impact, like just a subject they can attack for the revenue. So it gives them a bit of an advantage. I mean, like, so, and to win, like, you need to start questioning the business value and something related to the business model, rather than like, you're not thinking about what we feel about those games you're completely killing, and we've been thinking about them when we've been kids, like, you're killing our childhood. And they're like, we don't care, we're here for money.
Right.
Like, when did that become our issue?
Okay. But we talk about questioning the value of a company like these consulting firms, right? But then you see failure after failure after failure that over and over again. At what point does this do companies look at this and be like, yeah, you know what, this isn't what the audience wants?
But it's very easy to dodge those. Like for example, the Mimimi, for example. Right, like Mimimi was on the brink on the bankruptcy even before this game. Like in general, so any conversation they might have with the potential clients, and they're like, "Oh, and they would use any argument showing like any like bad actors from the good side, like ambitious, just people just crazy to disregard them, Mimimi was out of the business before us, and we try to do the good thing. I mean, like, so it has to be a pragmatic and very rational conversation. I mean, like, and pragmatic and very rational conversation no one likes to have, like in this specific business, is that what specifically you're paid for.
Right. But isn't a pragmatic and logical conversation, the games that you work on don't make money. This is a business.
That's exactly that.
Yeah. Our job is to make money for our investors and sell as many games as we possibly can. You as a company, every game now has a list of almost 400,000 people that do not want to buy your games.
Yeah, no, and it's making damage. It's damaging them. That's why they're reacting so much.
Right.
Like, it's damaging not only them, it's damaging every agency that does the same thing, because like the clients start to get questions.
Right.
And their questions.
I mean, at a certain point, they're a liability, right? They're certainly a liability.
I'm surprised when this will. I'm intrigued when this will kick in. Like, because like any contract should presume like clauses that basically make them liable for the quality of the services and some of the result that they promised. Like I'm like what Sa was mentioning to look at their pitch doc. I would be more intrigued to look at their contract.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go and move on and go back to a subject that we only got a little bit of time left, and we've gone long today. So if it's your first time tuning in, guys, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching us over on X, retweet. Let people know that our show is live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time. Mm-hmm. We got a lot of super chats, a lot of direct donations, a lot of questions for you, Aleksey. So we're going to get to some of those in just a minute. But I want to talk about community managers.
Mm-hmm.
They've been a constant talking point over the last month. They talk about oftentimes the community managers, while it's a very low level position inside the company itself, it's a very vocal and it's a position that everybody sees, right? They're not paid a lot, but they have a big voice.
Yeah.
Can you talk about them and kind of the influence of the community manager within the video game space?
Sure. You need to first understand how this exact vertical is structured. I'm talking about publishing, marketing, and community management in general. So there's typically there is a VP of publishing, maybe a separate department, but it's a couple of SVPs, right? Like there's a couple of president of VP and a couple of SVPs, and then you have director of marketing, and then you have director of PR, most probably, and you have a bunch of other people, and then you have community department. Now, community department reports to marketing-ish, and also to PR. Often those are people who report to two departments at the same time. And they are at the very low of the hierarchy in general. It means that they are extremely dependent from everything that happens on top, and information gets to them not quickly. It means that they would be told once a month, that we're doing that thing, for example. And those people at the same time, they go and they provide the communication with the external world, but they are constantly in a very complex position because they cannot really admit their fault. They cannot apologize, because if they will also be admitting fault of the whole of the organization. It's a problem of very bottom position, in the hierarchy. They are not very happy with their lives, and their jobs are at the constant risk because community management is a highly replaceable position. It's not senior engineer, like it's not the senior producer. This is someone who literally, if you don't comply, if you don't do whatever like being told to you, and if you somehow compromise your boss, you're like out, like immediately. People who are like on the constant stress, because like every middle position, another good example is a middle management, like people, they're in a constant stress because they're hit from the two sides. It's like their bosses don't really like them for all of the flops, and the community constantly discontent because they don't produce enough. So those are the people who are very subjected to the mental health issues. I'll put it this way, like there's like super not happy, super sad in most of the circumstances. When any person, including us, right, like are put into this position, especially professionally, so it's regular, it's like every day, right? They would try to look for some sources of personal authority and self-justification of their power existence and the human necessity, like to mean something, right? And it means that these people are like really subjected to come up with whatever bullshit, like that makes them more important. From where I'm from, been born to, like we call it a gatekeeper syndrome,
Right.
And they come up with all these things. And they try to compensate on the lack of authority and power by projecting these qualities into the gaming community.
All right. So you hit on something really important. These my thought is that oftentimes these people are very insecure. They're very insecure with themselves. And for the first time, they're given power, some sort of semblance of power, the idea of overseeing a community. And then that kind of goes to their head. And then by using that power, that voice that they have, they then feel better about themselves. And it makes as you said,
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and like it's also like the good reality check and the check question. Like if you're not sure about anything with the corporate structure, like every time you talk to anyone, ask yourself a question: is this person is eligible to make any decision about the subject you're having conversation about? Like to understand their position, right? Like does any of the community managers are influencing change of lore in general? I don't think so. But when you put when you put them into the wall, like in a conversation, like a community do, right? And you like start asking them questions, they get frantic, they get panicking, and they would lie. And like also keep in mind that lying in corporate is normal. Like it's just so normal. Like and we were like us normies and peasants, we still consider that to be something of fault. And in a corporate world, like lying is fine.
So, and there's a lot of truth in what you just said. Why not make the community manager a higher paid, more prolific position where there's they have more authority, they're paid more, but they also have more accountability for the things that they say. You get higher quality people in that. I don't know. I'd just love to hear your thoughts.
Establish a better communication pipeline, right? Like when you don't have to lie, where you come up, like clean a community and you say that, look, guys, this is what I solve and this is what I can influence and this is what I can't influence. So ideal resolution in the Warhammer case, for example, when this custodian thing shows up for a community manager would be to start short M&A, like maybe in a video format. Like after a short conversation in an office and basically say that, look, this is not in my power. I'm surprised, such as yourself. I would need to go and figure out this with people who are like much more above my pay grade, and I will return with all the question, guys, and we will discuss it. And you can easily turn it into PR win if you would do that this way, because you will show that you communicate with your community better. And banning people for questions in the fandom community is just panicking.
See, and I'm glad that you brought that up. So I actually do community management and community management training in the crypto space, which some people might go, oh dear, but it's the way that I would, oh dear. But the way I would train people is exactly like that. You say, hey, I understand your concern. I'm going to take it to the team and I'll come back. Because when you foster transparent language, it makes even your angriest of customer happy. And that attempt looks good to everybody else. And then we'll bring in new customers saying, hey, this company actually values communication between team and player, which
it's also, you need to realize, you need to comply with the fact that your job is services. I mean, a lot of people who are dealing with bad community managers, it's a literal proverbial analogy that you go into convenience store to buy some milk for the cup, whatever. And you come in, and there is this person just looking at you being angry for some reason. And they're like, you enter the door and the person is like, oh, you again. Like, fuck you guys. And you're like, what? Like, why is this happening? And there's like, because of your kind, you never do anything good to this shop, and you're like, why this conversation started in the first place? Because you're having a bad day, well, that's a bad service, we don't want to have that. I mean, and we're talking about the positive scenarios, it's, since you're providing service, your job is to make your customers happy. This is exactly the definition of your job in any circumstances. I mean, and a short development anecdote when we've been working with the S.t.a.l.k.e.r, I think that we can talk about this now. That the S.t.a.l.k.e.r, first S.t.a.l.k.e.r, being postponed 6 or 7 times. The game was in development 7 years. I mean, and it was hugely popular with the fans. But when we postponed the game on the 6th year, fans was super angry. It was it's a clusterfuck, right? People were we literally thought that people were gonna show up next to an office with the pitchforks and fires, just burn everyone down. And so we came out with this whole shit. We gathered the conference, alive, right? And the project manager of the game basically promised the fans that this is the last time. And he just recently got the new car, and he gave everyone his phone, obviously second phone, and told that if we will shift game another time, I will give my car and here are the keys, to the first person who's gonna call me.
Mm-hmm.
And people were startled first because this is very unexpected, but this is kind of cool, isn't it? Right? I mean, and people are like, well, if person's personally betting the car, it becomes the news as well. It's a PR win, and everyone are happy about it because you played it, and you played it very positively. I mean, and your whole job is to create bullshit, bad scenarios into something that people would still perceive. I mean, and just coming back at people, just angrily, it's just you're just doing your job bad. And maybe it's not your job. Maybe you're not the human person, and when I hear something oh, but to apologize would be to bend your knee to the crowd. And you're like, your job is to bend the knee to the crowd. It's your job specifically to make those people happy so they would be still the part of the fandom. And you've been paid money, and you've been invited to this job, to make them comfortable, around this whole thing. It's it's an analogy the person in McDonald's, would be just saying that, yeah, I took this job, but I would not serve these people. They can make their sandwiches by their own. I'm not their slave, and you're like, dude, you are in the uniform. You're selling the sandwiches. And you cannot do it this way.
Yeah, I think community management inherently requires creativity to handle problems. And the worst community managers lack that creativity and nuance to be able to spin anything. They're very reactionary and angry.
I just don't really understand why people who are at the service jobs getting so angry so frequent these days. From all of the jobs I mentioned, I mean, I've been selling discs in the retail. When I was very, very young, I was working in a hotel. I mean, which is standing in a hotel, meeting people. And sometimes it would be night shifts and people would be drunk. I mean, and they would talk shit about me. I would be still smiling and calling bellboys to get them on the rooms. Right. And I was trying to provide the good service, to these people because that was my job. I mean, being fair enough, and completely, it took me a couple of months to actually fuck off this place, because it's too much. But if you continue keeping this job, you need to take out this contract of yours and really reread the responsibilities, that you have on this job before doing anything.
Yeah, I think it comes back to that issue of treating community management as such a low-level entry position, because then they'll take the people who have no experience in communication, no experience in customer service, and no education whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then those people think that it's a stepping stone to then get into the industry instead of
Uh,
taking that job seriously.
And this is and partially the reason why people think about that being a stepping stone is this is why they're so supportive of middle management and top management agenda, because one of the quickest way to grow in a company is to start mirroring your direct managers, and to support all of their virtue signaling and values and stuff. It's like this old thing they teach you, like at all these bullshit courses. Like if you want to get promoted in a company very quickly, just one day find a lucky moment, go into your boss's office, and if you see he's been playing hockey, just lie you've been playing hockey as well, and start reading a lot about that and just tell the bullshit about it, and make it your hobby, really helps you. And so in a lot of senses, a lot of community managers, they're just projecting the start that goes through the vertical of marketing, to be noticed and not to go against the line of the party, hoping to get promoted, which is actually, if you would really think about it, it's kind of sad, isn't it? Because in ideal world, companies would hire and training is shit these days as well. Just hire better communicators and people who can do stuff with more enthusiasm, who would really love the franchise and who would really able to be in between community and people who actually make decision, and to provide more decision power for these people and maybe a little bit better pay. That would be much better for everyone.
And they need better hiring managers, because the people going to conventions to recruit, this was something that actually pushed me away from the industry. I had two specific instances that really solidified never working for a major company in America. Someone from Amazon Gaming, it was a woman. She came to me and she said, "We're trying to get more women with your type of experiences into shoutcasting." And I'm like, "What do you mean? Don't you want a good shoutcaster? Don't you want somebody who can, keep up with the pace of the game?" And she's like, "No, I just think that your experiences as a woman playing Call of Duty make you valuable. Your voice would be really, really insightful." And I'm like, what does being a woman have to do with it? Do you like my voice or not?
So they're dehumanizing yourself, making you an accessory to their vision of the marketing campaign they're having. That's exactly the explanation of this case. They're basically, you are an accessory to my idea. Because I think it's gonna be successful.
I don't want to,
and that's what.
But it just seems so condescending. So
It
condescending.
is. It is. It happened to me in college when I became a statistic to push through my the biology program I was part of. And then it happened with the shoutcasting thing. And then it happened again. I actually turned down the opportunity to basically interview for my dream job at my dream company. But the individual I was talking to said, "I can push you through because you're a woman." And I straight up looked at them and I said, "I would rather be rejected because I suck than accepted for being a woman." And that killed it for me.
Yeah. I mean, but it's a completely right decision as well, because if you take any of those job offers based on this kind of favor, it would be I guarantee you it will turn into shit. And then this person who told you that you will be hired because he or she can push you being a woman will tell the story somewhere at one of the shows, and people will start to tell the story that you've been hired because you're a woman. It's a slippery slope, isn't it? It's
terrible.
It turns into bullshit. And people don't understand that. It's just making bad favors. So yeah, no, I mean, and with community managers, it's just this. Yeah, I mean, it's really, this job definition should be reevaluated, because I also honestly think that marketing campaign is effectively a combination of PR and marketing and the community. And there is a bunch of other things, but they're less bigger than those three elements, right? And for the history of the gaming industry, there would be times where each of these elements would be more prevalent, and in different niches, it's each of them more prevalent. So AAA was always more PR, mobile games being more marketing and the performance marketing, acquisition marketing stuff. Community management, would be extremely important always in all of the business model, which are direct to the customer. And now the times are where community management becomes more important, like in every aspect of gaming. And that means that the community managers should automatically get more power, and they should be prioritized more because they're currently more important than people in PR and marketing. And this is what should happen, but no one wants that to happen because people hate changes, and people who obtain positions, like in PR and the marketing in general, they don't want to step down, obviously, but it will happen. I mean, like one way or another, because people start to realize that good business nowadays is that when you build a company and you have direct access to your product, it means that you can change in your game anything at any time, and you have direct communication with your audience, because like those are the people who are going to buy your game. Like you have these two components, you're gonna be fine. And everything else is just supplementary, additional things.
It's almost like common sense.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's just crazy, right?
Well, I'll tell you this: we got I feel like we're just scratching the surface, but we're running up on it. I have Lord of the Rings to watch in like 20 minutes.
Right.
So I want to get to some super chats and some support, guys. Thank you very much. If you have questions for Alex, throw them out in the chat. We'll do our best to get to them. Alex will answer them as swiftly and as efficiently as possible. If you guys are tuning in for the first time, hit the subscribe button. We're live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time. We usually go for 90 minutes. We've gone considerably longer today. Good job, Blabs. But there'll be lots of clips from this going up. I say this all the time. Feel free to take clips of the show. Talk about them. If you do a show if you have a YouTube channel, talk about our show. Go ahead, take clips. If you find something that Alex says interesting, or Savvy says interesting, or God forbid I say something interesting, take it, clip it, put it out there. That's totally fine. We encourage that. We are an agnostic show, meaning you put us on whatever platform you want. We will not come down on you and be upset when you use clips from our show, unless you're an asshat. Then we'll be upset. With that said, Nissan came in, says, question for manager, opinion on rising game production costs, legit rise of Hollywood-style abuse / fraud, excess in campus-style production studios with high overhead. How much expense can DEI departments add? I think we touched on that a little bit. But
yeah, I think we answered that. I mean, like, the only thing I would add there, is that, if you really want to understand the structure and how structure fluctuates, in between the games, I mean, like, you need to look at the budget of indie production games, like your average A games, which are typically produced by businesses in general, not like maybe separate from industries, businesses, studios, right? Something that goes a typical like AA. Then look at the games which are like more than quality of AA, and then look at the games which are produced by the studios who are part of the first party companies, because like those are the most expensive ones. I mean, like, and there is a very straight progression, on how much overhead you need to feed, because like if your game is a part of the Microsoft ecosystem, it means that it need to associate with a whole bunch of departments that be much more expensive, and so on and so on and so on. Yet answering the question, I think that the parts of the answer being a part of the question. I mean, like, it's a lot of Hollywood accounting and the overhead in it, like 100%. I think that game budgets are not effective. And I also think that gaming company need to start to lay off less production people and start to lay off more of a senior management people. That would be only logical. And that's an amazing way to save money, by the way.
So I'm Blabs, as we're answering questions, if there's nothing that has to do with Alex, go ahead and put the super chats on the bottom of the screen, and just know that your support is appreciated, and we'll read each one of them, but we won't be able to read all of them out loud today. But we'll read out the ones that are directly built around Alex, so we can answer them. But I do want to point out that S.t.a.l.k.e.r came in with a $100 super chat, asking for Blabs to sing, which. Blabs, we'll do that tomorrow. Okay, Blabs?
Oh, with Kirsha. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Hi, all. I got a request for Blabs to sing the iconic Jigglypuff song in her special voice trick she does. Also been practicing my IMG to IMG AI generation. Generation of you both, and we'll post on Twitter. Oh, looking forward to that, S.t.a.l.k.e.r. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And yes, we'll do that tomorrow with Kirsha when she joins the show. S.t.a.l.k.e.r. also became a member. And also, not to be outdone, Ian So Forth came in with 10 more gifted memberships. That is spectacular, Ian. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to get you and S.t.a.l.k.e.r. on the wall. Again, while we read off more of these super chats. Blabs, read them off if we can. If they don't, if they have to do with Alex, read them off. If they don't, then we'll just continue to.
Mercenary, Alex, does it seem like infiltration from within to you?
It's definitely been a part of. I wouldn't call it infiltration. It's just a lot of people saw that this industry starts to make money, and they wanted to be a part of that. And some people went and adapted, and some people went and started to bring in their own stuff. So, very logical.
All right, let me see if there's more for you. Let's see. Probably towards the bottom. Here we go. Okay. Caius, what has been Tim Sweeney's reaction to the DEI stuff? He always seems like he wanted to be apolitical to me. Also, do you think UE is compromised? I use it for my games, and I feel it's the best engine on the market.
I don't think Tim Sweeney really even cares about the things. I can be wrong about it, but Tim Sweeney at the times of work, there's a huge respect to the man because he's one of the smartest people I ever worked in the industry. He makes this impression of very focused, long-term thinking guy, who's not really interested in a lot of trifles happening around, so I think that he per se, if you would read Team Twitter, it's typically this apolitical libertarian support the market will decide type of the things to anything. I think it doesn't make sense to really stipulate Unreal Engine to be affected by anything because it's a tool and it's a free tool, you can download for future 5%, and for $0 and everyone can pick this up and do anything with it. So you cannot blame tool for anything really. So I think it's all good. Continue developing games with Unreal Engine.
Lord J coming in says, give me a pure translation or F off. How am I supposed to experience other cultures if localizers censor characterization based on their own values? Nailed it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. It's gnarly to me how a lot of these efforts that were supposed to help spread diversification, equality, and inclusion are actually working completely against those three things. Like really, it's almost like people who do those things don't really understand what they're doing. But what do I know?
What do you know? Well, you know a lot, which is great. Thanks,
well,
Smiley.
I have a question here from Suffer, not Surfer. Surfer, so proud here. The left has become like the religious right in the 90s when it comes to censorship. How long do you think it'll be till they stop pushing their religion on us? I'm sick of it.
I'll add some gasoline into fire here into this question. One of the things that I don't know. Do you know what Byte is? Byte B.ITE. It's
I have not heard of this.
It's this model that's been made by Steve Hassan, the guy who's deprogramming from the cult, and it's like this elements that you might notice in operation of every group to define how much cult they are. And a lot of these things he's mentioning are actually a part of behavior of many of these groups online and publicly, and so if you're interested, just check out Stephen Hassan's works, it really helps you to deprogram a lot of situations and check out what Byte is, it's not that complex. But I agree, anything that goes religious in an openly commercial sector, it's just, to me, it's like combining church and the state, where you are a commercial vendor that capitalize on the ideology, and I'm trying to remember, is there any case of church and state together being a good thing? And I'm no, not so much, never, not good.
You got to come to Texas. Woo! Love ourselves some God and Jesus and guns in schools. Not guns in schools. That sounded really bad. But
Greg Flynn has a question. He says, Alex, if you made up your own abbreviation for DEI, what would it be? I gave my own rendition in a $2 super chat.
DEI? How would I have
what does DEI mean to you? The actual
no, but it's a stupid acronym, really. If you would think about it, because it's kind of like it's really close to me, by the width of it, to this stupid Masonic, the equality, brotherhood, fraternity, thing, in some sense. It's three very ambiguous notions that's very hard to decode, incredibly hard to explain to other people, and being thrown to all of them together, they literally provide anyone who uses it infinite field of interpretation. And I think that that's the purpose of it. It's because of this being so ambiguous again. And
They're incapable of specificity. Like, my posts are all very long-winded because I try to be as specific as possible, and people like them, and usually the uneducated, thrive on ambiguity because the minute they have to start explaining something, that's when they get tongue-tied and realize they look like an idiot.
Pretty much.
Happy birthday, Maza.
Happy birthday, Mother.
Happy
birthday.
Eastern Wisconsin.
Thanks, Nissan and Heart and Soul. Thank you again. Appreciate all your support today, guys. I need to get to some Rumble Rants and direct donations as well. Craig's Hairy Ankles comes in, says, get Brian the Beard to pair up with Bearda. We'll call him Lady Fuzz. Also, the carpet matches the drapes. Thank you, Craig's Harry's Ankles. Free Thinker says the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing.
James Burke said that. A great man.
Delta came in with the 5, says, did you guys hear Stellar Blade is replacing some graffiti because they accidentally had it read hard R? It reminded me of Linus Tech Tips and his quote, we used to hear it all the time. It really wasn't a thing back in 2002. Yes, we talked about that previously. Thank you very much.
It was very educating part of the show. Thank you. I mean, like, I had to check it out. Now I know.
But by the way, we've had great viewership today. At one point, we capped out at just almost 2,500 people here on YouTube, 2,600 people over on YouTube. We have actually almost 1,600 people watching over on X right now, so that's awesome.
Great.
So we've been great today, and obviously another few hundred over on Rumble, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Abdulio says, hey, Craig, if you're a fan of Godzilla, look up the YouTube videos, the Griffin and Living Monsters done by amateur and talented CGI animator. One is a military after report, and the other is a mockumentary of the style of kaijus and Godzilla, and with Kong and Godzilla. Thanks, Abdulio. Appreciate it.
The Japanese Godzilla completely got the Hollywood so much embarrassed. Like a movie which is done for $15 million, talking about the price that looks better than anything that Hollywood done like in the last year. I mean, like, it's just a slap on the face. Like, it's just a bad one.
John came in with the 5, says, Alex, is that a portrait of you as a general?
I was waiting if someone would ask about that, and it's like, yes, it is. Like, it's actually it's a present of my best friend Lisa. It was a practical joke, like of me being too much often full of myself. And she's like, you need to have it on your wall. I'm like, oh, fucking thank you. I do, because we're the best friends.
I love
awesome.
it. Dude came in on Rumble, says the sad thing is that we should be celebrating the release of Uiden Chronicles. I don't know the name of it, but since the creator of the series died recently, instead we were talking about people vandalizing the game.
That's bad. I mean, like, it's and I'm also it's very sad for me as well, because I really love the Suikoden 2. I played at the PlayStation 1 at a time. I think, like, it was the cool part of the game is that you can assemble like 104 characters, and get them all into your base and constantly shuffle, like your party, like getting them into various combination. And this is a very interesting mechanic. I mean, like, and it's also it's story deep like a lot of Japanese games. And I'm like super frustrated by the fact it's localized this way, because like I'm like, look, I mean, I'm immediately triggered and get super angry. I mean, like, just to the point where I feel bad when I just start reading obviously bad text, like just like millennial writings, people call it, like spoil the Hollywood, right? But it's also there are two issues with writing of this kind. One of them is just when they just produce this nonsense just linearly, and also there is an issue of writing rooms. Like, where writing becomes collective all the time and there is no owner behind it, like, and it's very sad as well. I mean, like, and unfortunately in localization world, it becomes more and the case as well. I mean, like, and just localizations are weak because of that.
And you can always tell when something's localized. You just know it doesn't fit.
You just know. DeYoung says, good for Savvy for not taking the easy road. Thank you very much for that Rumble rant. Really appreciate that. And the mystery says, but Craig, will you ask the question that Dan Vask wanted to ask from last night? Thank you for the show. Always an interesting watch/listen. Thank you, The Mystery. The answer is no, I will not ask that question because Dan Vask is gay. That's, that's actually not true, but I love Dan very much. And I certainly would not ask a question because he likes penis, but whatever, it is what it is. Yes, Blabs?
Hey, no
Nothing.
kink shaming. No kink
Yeah,
shaming.
no shaming here, bro. No kink shaming.
Dan's going to like what Dan's going to like. It's okay. As we all are. Okay, look, we've gone extremely long today. I have a Lord of the Rings watch party starting in about 3 minutes, which I need to be on, which I'm going to make happen. I'm going to turn it around. So I need everybody right now to go to sidescrollers.locals.com. If you want to hang out with me a little bit longer, I'm watching Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, over at sidescrollers.locals.com. It is a free it's a free account. Just make it. You get a notifications whenever we go live. People have been tuning in over there on Locals on a day-to-day basis, which is great. And we're going to do fun things like this over here. So I'm going to be starting that very quickly after the stream. So pop in over there. I got to make a thumbnail. Then I'm going to make the post and we'll get going. But I would like to thank Alex for popping on today. Alex,
thank you for inviting, guys.
I would love to have you back.
Super fun. I'll be super happy to go back and chat again. It was extremely fun, and thank you for the company and the great conversation.
Of course. Sav, you are killing it. I love your passion. I love your crazy dark room that has no light in it at all. I love that you are the epitome of a hermit, and I love everything about it. A human hermit, which is great. Where can everybody find you, Sav?
The best place to find me is over on Twitter, @MadamSavvy. All of my info dumps are there. I post some of my art there, and I'll always tweet if I decide to ever go live on my own stuff. But right now, I don't really do that. So, yay! Well, I'm a very simple person.
I love it. And people can hire you to create artwork as well, which is very important. So find Savvy, hire her. Give her your money.
If you want art, writing, or you need product consultancy in terms of storytelling, or if you need community management training or customer service support, I offer all of those things because I've been doing them since about 2009.
Or maybe you can make some sweet AI music.
Yes,
that too.
All right, go find Blabs over on YouTube as she's driving towards monetization, which is great.
Less than 400 hours.
Let's go. Get there. We're gonna make it happen, Blabs. So go subscribe to Blabs and go watch some of her Harry Potter stuff. Once again, find me over at sidescrollers.locals.com. Link is in the description. We made it very easy for you guys. If you guys are watching over on X, do us a favor, retweet the video. If you guys are on the way out over here on YouTube, hit the thumbs up button on your way out. Thank you guys very much for popping in. Alex, Savvy, Blabs, great job today. Thanks for hanging out with us a little bit longer. And remember, people are going to try to keep you down. Don't let them. You guys got a goal. Go get it. Have a great day, guys. See ya. Bye-bye.